that, and then that.
We're doing lots of that.
We're not live. I was about to say we're not live.
No,
Okay.
this is how we go live now.
Yeah, it's just like ah.
You tried to throw us to the kobolds.
So next will be gnolls.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I was about to say we just got thrown to the. He almost got thrown to the Dern too.
Yeah, we got real lucky that it only took one turn to take out that fairy dragon, because you can like absolutely decimate all of us.
Yes.
You are a terrifying enemy.
Paladins normally are. They're actually fucking brutal characters.
Yeah, but you don't have the range.
Almost perfect. Good evening and welcome to your Sunday bit of D&D entertainment. My name is David, and this week I'm trying to hide how badly I'm sunburnt with a pink filter. We're going to pass around the table here real quick, see how the rest of our team is holding up. I'm going to start with Ryan. How was your week?
Pretty good. I just got my new robot maid Rosie set up. She's been vacuuming, so it's all good.
Did you name your Roomba Rosie?
I did.
Okay,
Yes.
beautiful.
Okay.
Perfect. I love it.
I'm a big fan of those names. Like my brother has a Roomba, and he called his Mo, like from what's it called?
The Simpsons.
No, the little Mo. What's it?
Oh, Wally.
Wally, the little cleaning robot from
Mo.
Wally. Mo.
Yeah.
So no, I fully approve of your Jetson reference.
Riley, how was your
Yes.
week?
It was a week.
It was a week.
It was a week. There was lots of positives, lots of weird things, and some things that I'm not allowed to talk about. So nothing crazy. Just one of those work weeks where it's just like just never ended.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Melissa, how was your week?
I caught the plague. It only took 2.5 years, but feeling better today, so that's good.
Good to hear. How are your kids feeling?
They're doing okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stir crazy, a little bit of cabin fever.
As one is wont to do when
Less
trapped.
Yeah, less concerned about the plague, more concerned about the amount of or the lack of workable, usable markers I have remaining in the supply cupboard, and just how much that aligns with the level of my sanity.
Okay.
So always.
I mean,
have markers.
it's a cost benefit analysis, because you definitely don't want the markers on the walls, but nothing keeps them more entertained than like good color payoff, because I have artists apparently.
Fair.
Anyway, that's my week.
Mac, how are you doing?
Did you say Mac?
I did say Mac. How are you doing?
Cool. Not great.
Oh.
Currently sick, and also took a spill and tore a bunch of my shoulder up.
No.
So that's exciting. But other than that, I'm just ready to play some D&D, and I'm sorry if instead of a nice happy voice, I sound more like this, because it hurts to do that voice currently. So instead, I'm gonna give you those deep, deep vibes.
Give us your best ASMR voice the whole night, and I think we will be good.
And
So
today
what
we're
you're-
gonna
what you're
pull our
saying-
bow, knock our arrow, and let her fly.
So Quill has caught a cold.
Quill caught a cold and then did essentially a massive critical one on life, and put himself into physio for 3 months. What up?
My headcanon is this is what you sound like when Lou is doing the voiceover for what Quill is doing.
There you go.
Lou is just Mac's natural voice, but projected.
Exactly.
Okay.
Not to put a downer on everything there, but you asked.
Oh no, we want to know. We got to keep track of how you're doing, buddy. We care
Yeah,
about
so
you.
if my camera goes black, it's because I'm coughing, and coughing feels like you're stabbing me in the chest. So I'm gonna, hide from that. So yeah.
Okay. Well, let's jump right in. Last week we had a very impactful battle that ended with some very tired players, and you were all starting to wake up as the sounds of the forest were kind of reaching their crescendo of regular morning attitude. That is really loud. Let's turn that down. The sun's starting to rise. Everyone's awaking. Dern, you were the last on watch. How do you wake everyone up?
I think Dern, knowing the way how Agnes wakes up, and normally tries to either kill somebody or is very grumpy about it, he'll slowly start getting the others up first, trying to give Agnes the most amount of time that he can. Maybe starts taking down some of the tent stuff, things like that, and so just slowly making more and more noise to try and bring her into reality a little nicer.
Okay, Agnes is just like slowly ruining like the foundational trust in all her relationships because like Quill's like she steals all my fish. Dern's like she tried to kill me.
Oh, Dern actually doesn't know that.
It's like she keeps yelling at me every morning.
Yeah, so yeah, that's what it is. Is Dern's just like, and we're just gonna slowly do everything else. And Dern doesn't really make great breakfast. Uh, he learned from the Bennies, and the Bennies is it's military food. It's very bland. It's gonna wake you up. It's gonna pack a punch for your carbs for the day and things like that. Keep your energy up. But that's about it. It does not have much flavor. And yeah, he's just trying to get everybody up. He also spent his evening just digging those holes off to the side and stuff like that. Yeah, that's Dern's kind of morning routine for getting everybody up and going. He doesn't know how Foxglove wakes up, so he just kind of just pokes him a little bit.
He wakes up.
All right, that's good.
Agnes, what's the perception roll for?
Yeah, so Dern, you have a tendency to be like, I'm gonna be quiet. So on a
Oh,
22
yes.
perception, you absolutely woke me up when you were trying to like put
Oh yeah.
the tents together. And she kind of looks up and it's just like like smells the air and is like quietly gonna go over and like dump some spices in the gruel
Yeah.
and then go back and pretend to be asleep.
Yeah. That's Dern's morning routine anyway for getting people up. And yeah, kind of just looks around and looks at everybody and yeah, just goes, we got a little bit more to travel today. Uh let's get going. We're at limited time.
Okay. While we've got this kind of opportunity here, does anyone have anything they maybe want to say to Dern, or any thoughts and feelings they've got kind of along the way before we send you guys on your way into the next section of this?
Quill's already awake. Quill is not quite there. He's over at the little grave that Dern had dug the night before. And he is burying that little fey dragon thing in the ground and trying to remind himself that not all dragons are good dragons and that he won't be punished for harming this dragon.
Okay.
I think Dern is trying to give Quill that space right now. I think he said his piece during the night and just wanted to make sure that Dern is like, this is something he has to accept. I think it's the tough love, or not tough love, but just it needs time to process.
Okay. Agnes, are you taking any advantage of the time here? Anything that you're looking to do?
I want to talk to Foxglove.
Okay.
So kind of, we've had a bit of food and we're sitting around the campfire. Fox, would you still be like hanging around?
Yep. Yeah.
Uh,
Steve is kind of doing laps and just kind of keeping an eye out, but
Agnes is gonna do that really super super awkward moment where she sits down and she's on the edge of the log that we're sitting on, and then she's like scooching over a little bit and be like, "So,
yeah.
so you travel for a living, right?"
I have a bit. Yeah.
What?
I'm as I get more experience, I'll probably be traveling more, but I'm still pretty junior.
What did you think of the gates?
It's pretty creative. I mean, putting spells together like that, and I mean, that's pretty advanced magic. I mean, most will just like poof and move themselves to set up something like that that can be like a semi-permanent. That takes some skill.
What Magnus was talking about the deal he made, um, kind of reminded me. I know that the Fays are the same as fiends, obviously, but the deals aren't so dissimilar. I think, from my understanding, anyway. Where I'm from,
But
it's just
there's
stories, but
there's a lot of planes that are really big on, the art of the deal.
um, do you think there would be anything we could do to help him? Help her? It's not her fault. I mean, he was the one that made a bad deal. He didn't read the contract.
It really all depends on what's been done to her.
Yeah. I just feel bad, like that for somebody to be trapped somewhere without even without a choice. That doesn't seem right.
Well, see, and that's the thing, we don't know what's happened with her. That she's trapped. I mean, she may be her physical form's still there, but everything else is moved on.
Well, Magnus said that her soul is gone.
Yes, there's many definitions of gone.
That's true. I didn't ask that question.
And I mean, whether or not he wants us to interfere.
Well, even if he doesn't want us to interfere, surely we're supposed to be doing some good. I mean, you're not from the womb, but I mean, technically no one's from the womb. Is anyone from the womb?
I
should
don't
ask
know about the womb itself, but I mean, there are like Magnus himself is native to this plane.
Dern chimes in quickly. I was from an egg.
Good for
Technically, I was
you.
too.
I fly up and pat him on the head.
Just thought I would say that.
Now, was it a big egg or a little egg?
Did you have
did
a
you
lot
start really small and get bigger? Like, how long did it take you to get that big?
This big? Very quickly. It's when I came to Naylore. I don't remember my size necessarily from when I was in Eberron.
Were you like subjected to like an enlargement spell? I mean, I have heard of people who have like men have tried like specifically targeted enlargement spells that went wrong, and like a permanency thing can do that. Like, is that what happened to you? Were you?
To be honest, I don't remember much of my time in Eberron. I remember feelings and stories. And whatever happened to me last night was stories of the planes themselves. But whatever happened to me last night, there was a weird dream, if you will, that occurred. And there were 5 names I remember.
What names are those?
Dern pauses for a second and realizes that he doesn't have his notes up on his screen right now. That he totally has on the side here, and
flip through the backstory binder. Flip through the backstory binder.
Well, he's sitting there remembering. I turned to Aggie and it's like, so were you smaller before you came here too?
It's been a while since I was any smaller than this. I've have been about this size.
Okay, so it's not something that like when you come here you get bigger.
No, some people get
Is-
smaller. Or there's a really, really nice saying that basically when you come here, you become um, the form you were supposed to take or the form that you want to take. So people come in all kinds of forms that they weren't before they got here.
That seems
Cool.
really strange.
Quill kind of wanders up and goes, when I got here, I was only like 6 inches tall.
So you were like Steve's height.
I was really tiny.
That's really tiny, Quill.
For this might be, hold on, sorry. When I say 6 inches, I mean like as a cat standing, like a kitten.
Yeah.
So you got hit with an enlargement spell just like Dern did.
I mean, I don't know, maybe.
Right? You before you came you were little, and now you're here. You're big.
Well, no,
So I mean, maybe you're from a plane that just is different sized.
Dern goes, yes, their names. I got it. I understand. I got the names. There was Vio, who I believe was a golden kobold. Knit, she was a red kobold. Sart, Ziola, and Sharper. I believe there was 6 of us in total.
You say of us.
The group of us. I don't remember much more other than there was just a group of 6 of us.
So you were one of the group of kobolds?
I believe so.
Were you?
As I said, my memories of Eberron are fuzzy at best.
Were you like leading this group?
I think we all led
Like,
together.
is it like as a
were miss-
dragonborn, or you were a
No,
kobold?
I believe I was a dragonborn. Dern goes back to kind of puzzling as he's flipping through the book that was given to him of notes and things like that, and he's like, yes, there was 6 of us in total, but I do not know. And Dern just kind of goes back to his reading a little bit and just trying to figure things out as they're finishing their meal. And he turns up and goes, I'm sorry, I don't have any other answers or any other thoughts on this.
Well, I mean, keep thinking about it. It might help you come to realize more about yourself.
Dern nods.
Agnes, you feel that familiar tingling sensation from before when the note from Magnus first appeared. The light crackle, and then a small box, kind of like center to all of you, just goes down in the middle between all of you. It's got another note tied to the front of it, the same as you saw last time.
Dern quickly grabs it from the fire.
Okay. Now it is a slightly scorched box. What do you do with the box? What do you do?
I guess
What's in
Dern
the box?
reads the note.
What's in the box?
Dern's been practicing his reading. He's actually better at reading than he is writing.
So sounding it out slowly,
Yes.
you see a note that says, "Friends, in my own emotional state, I neglected to send this with you. Please forgive me. This is an arcanium of Revivify. To use it, Simply grip tight and let the magic flow through you. But be warned, it can be dangerous, but in your travels, you may need it. And it's
Did you
signed
just-
Magnus.
Did you just give us something to like not die?
You were supposed to get this earlier, but
Did you see the wash of like all the faces just went panic? You're like,
Everybody's
you gave
eyes
us a
go like,
what?
Ow. I see. David's turning on hard mode.
Like,
I
okay,
got it.
we all feel safe. It's fine.
inside the box, Dern, you find
Yeah.
a stone. It weighs a little over 1 pound, and it is made of carved arcanium. It's carved to resemble a D20, and each face has a different rune carved into it. The edges of the D20 are gutted out, and there's gold inlaid into them. So, allow me to explain how casting with arcanium works. Once you choose to cast the spell, the stone is consumed, along with all of the metals binding around it. You do not need any innate magical abilities to cast the spell with these stones, and you do not need to know the spell. To cast, you must make a Constitution saving throw, which is done as a Constitution saving throw plus half of your spellcaster level. It is against a 10 plus the spell level you are casting. So for this stone, the check would be a DC 13.
Not impossible, not bad.
You can offset this cost further by applying one of your own spell level slots to it. So for example, you could cast a spell where it would, and then use a level 2 slot to reduce the difficulty of that spell if you wanted to. You must do it before the results are discovered. So you roll, and you can choose to add it at that time.
Okay. I think Dern hands the stone over to Agnes.
Now, I want to be clear. Magnus mentioned consequences for the players and those that are watching at home who may be curious how this works in the future. I've explained how a success works. There's a chance of failure. If you fail with less than half of the DC, so rounded down, so if it's a 13, rounded down half would be a 6. If you roll a 6 or less, you will take 1d6 of magical damage. It doesn't have any specific target. It's just a damage that cannot be reduced, and it will always go for your hit points, never temporary hit points. If you roll a natural 1 and it is considered a failure, it does 2d6 of magical damage, and you take a point of exhaustion.
Okay.
Now, that does not... A natural 1 does not denote an immediate failure. A significantly powerful enough mage could channel enough power through it to cast a stone and offset the cost without any negative impact.
Okay.
That's how refined arcanium works. Should you find some unrefined, I will explain the mechanics at that time.
Unrefined. Wild magic chart!
So Agnes is going to take out the little knit bag that she carries with her that's full of dice from Earth and look at the arcanium dice now. I'm just like,
It's
"Oh my God."
it's fairly
I know
big.
I know it's
but-
big. She looks at it's bigger than my bag, and I'm like, gonna need a bigger bag.
Agnes, you
And-
have many of those stones.
These stones, and she holds up the bag of clicky clacky rocks. She's like, these are for they say that the mind is a magical, powerful thing.
Yes.
That's what these are for. This is cool.
Wait, are you saying there's a magic inside those stones?
If you
Inside the
believe
big
that-
stone?
if
Or
you
inside the
believe-
little stones?
If you believe in the magic of the stones and you trust in their luck, yeah, there's magic in them.
Dern is immediately fascinated and just kind of like gets in real close to this. Like Agnes is kind of holding it up like this. Dern is like this.
Agnes digs through the bag and picks out a emerald green dye and gives it to Dern.
Dern is just like, over the moon. He goes, "There's magic in this," and
And I take the really magic dice and I put it in my bag.
Dern,
Where's my magic?
technically, there's an innate background level magic in everything.
Dern's eyes kind of go wide as he looks around the world.
Yeah, I mean, like you can't have life and stuff and things and rocks and plants and without magic. It just doesn't work.
That's why I collect everything. And I lean down and I'm going to get some of the charcoal from the bottom of the fire.
And just go in the charcoal jar.
I'm gonna have to use Cole's voice, even if it hurts, because there's no personality unless I use it. So I might just be wincing more because this and this. Anyways, Quill kind of walks up and he's like, "So you tell me that if we use this, like, if one of you dies, you don't die?"
Sounds like we have a chance to protect
Well,
our friends even more.
you still die, but this like reverses it
So you don't die.
within specific parameters.
As long
So,
as
so
you...
you don't die.
But we all got to stick together because if you're dead for more than a minute, the stone's not going to do anything.
So technically, so like, if you have it and I'm with you, and Dern goes down and Fox loves you with Dern, is it possible to like put it on my arrow and shoot it over to you guys?
No. I don't think that's the way this works.
Yeah,
No. I mean, like,
that-
what he means is like to like transfer it across to someone, like shoot the arrow into like a tree.
Because
is-
that
why
much
is that
weight
no?
would mess up your
Yeah.
arrow.
No,
For a little
Because-
1 pound stone?
we need
So
to
you-
touch.
It's a physical. So you have to be in contact with the item.
No,
So
I think
Oh,
what,
That's not what I'm saying. If
Just
if
move
Dern
it.
and I are over here, and Foxglove and Agnes are here, and I have the stone, and one of the other two goes down, can I not just like shoot it over to him?
Oh yeah, you could like shoot the stone to them. You just couldn't activate the stone.
No. Just curious if I could shoot it.
We're just going to hot potato it all the way
or
around
you
the
know, just
battlefield.
throw it.
yeah. I guess Dern kind of gets up and goes, "Well, friends, shall we?"
I guess so.
Must.
Okay, so you pack up your camp, you get ready to leave, and you kind of start your journey along the path. And it's a very kind of peaceful walk. There's a calm that seems to be descending the further you get into this forest. Just a general gentle vibe that permeates everything as you go. Does anyone have a passive perception below a 13?
I'm above.
Below 13?
Below a 13.
Mine's 11.
Okay.
Where do we find passive again?
Under your
Right.
skill checks.
Skill check. 10.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
My name is Dern. I am loud. Clankety
I'm-
clankety clank clank clank.
I'm sure Quill's got to be above that.
I'm also sure. I'm just double checking to make sure. Okay, cool. So, Dern and Foxglove, I need you both to just roll me a perception check as you're walking along.
I got a 12.
Okay. So, Dern, for you, this is a very lovely and it's odd, but it's a nice forest.
It's a very odd forest. There's many trees.
Yeah.
Dern is like, okay, that's an evergreen. That's not. Okay, no, that's okay. They're all okay. That's a cactus, or that's a cactus.
So, Dern, Foxglove, and Agnes, as you wander further through the forest, you're noticing that they're getting more and more varied. The trees. It's very much like somebody just threw a random smattering of trees down, but it
I don't think
almost
this
looks
forest
like two
knows
or
how to forest.
3 trees kind of became one tree, like they're all trying to occupy the same space, but they're not
I picked
quite
up-
doing it. Yeah,
Question.
this is all three of you would have seen it except for Dern. You would have noticed all of this.
Question.
okay.
Yeah.
Do any of the trees look something native to, say, I don't know, Eberron or any other kind of plains?
So roll
Or-
me. I'm first. I'm gonna give Agnes and Quill a chance to up their perception. So you guys are already below like the minimum threshold to have noticed that. Do you guys, if you want, you're given a chance here. Nope. So we won't add anything to yours. Quill.
It's a natural one. We're just lucky that Agnes likes
Let me
nature.
check here. You said perception?
It's a perception, yeah. Another natural one. Okay, so yeah, as far as you guys can tell, it's trees. Now, sorry, the question was, do any of them look like they're from other planes? I'm gonna need a nature check if you want to know that.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll give that a try. That's a 6.
Yep.
Get the low rolls out of the way.
Okay. Fox, they all.
They don't. Do they
I'm
look like
gonna.
trees from home?
Now you've been to other planes before, right?
A few.
Okay. We'll hold off a second. Do Agnes or Quill want to roll on that nature check as well?
Natural 20.
Okay.
You are all about the
One,
nature.
20. 1,
Um,
20.
So
Was
There's no in between.
I was say Quill was like very young. He wouldn't notice anything.
okay, perfect. So I'm gonna give you advantage on that roll because it would make sense. You've been to other planes, so you'd be kind of familiar if they're different. When you look at these trees, it's almost as if they've been pulled together. Like they were in the same space as another tree when they came into existence. So some of them are clearly trees that used to be here and were natural grown trees. Some of them look like they're trees that began to occupy the same space.
So to steal the word, they've been splinched.
Yeah.
Sorry, pause. What?
Have you never heard the word splinched?
No! I love
You-
it,
you
but
don't-
what does it mean?
You don't Harry Potter enough.
No, I
You
don't.
definitely don't Harry.
I'm not a Harry Potter guy.
When you apparate, if you're not very careful, you can splint yourself.
Splint yourself.
Anyway.
I
It's-
like that.
Yeah. So what's happened here, as you kind of look around, there's actually like the trees are like merged together, and even some of the branches share different leaves. Like there's like deciduous trees that are growing like coniferous pines off of them. They don't seem to fit. It looks like the trees are all perfectly happy and healthy and content in their random existence. But as you start to kind of look around, you can very much tell these trees were pulled here, and they were on a different, maybe a different plane or a different reality. And when they came here, there was already a tree that existed in that location, and they just happened to now share the same space. There's no ill effect to this. Again, animals don't even seem to care, but it's definitely a clear sign that there was a very powerful source of magic that had created this effect.
So I have an idea in my mind of what might have gone on here. Do I need to roll an Arcana or an Insight to see if Fox has that idea, or do you want me just to say?
Say your idea.
So I'm thinking something like some sort of planar overlay has happened where multiple planes have kind of overlapped and just kind of stuck.
Okay.
Magic the Gathering Wrath theory from Dominaria.
I don't Magic the Gathering.
So
I understood
Fox,
that reference.
as somebody who's traveled the planes and used spells or used effects like planar shift, that's exactly what's happened here. At some point, a giant force overlapped several planes together, and this was the result. This forest is forests from across several different planes that coexisted temporarily all at the same time. And when they were pulled back apart, some of those trees were left behind as a result.
Can I I'm gonna kind of look at my friends. Like, can I have 10 minutes to cast detect magic, or would you rather I can use a spell slot for it too if we want to do it fast?
It's up to you guys. You can definitely take the time if you so want.
Dern
Well-
nods to Agnes and goes, "We've walked for a few hours. I believe we can take a rest for a minute."
Yeah, let's break
Um,
out the snacks and
Yeah, Dern pulls out power bar, no, clip bars, and pulls out gummies.
It's a
Trying
DVD
to
player with
imagine.
SpongeBob for the kids.
I'm trying to imagine what in the pile of goo you've brought has turned to like a gummy texture in your pocket. It-
Oh.
What's that? That's like natto. You don't have gummies, you have natto.
Yes.
Well, while she's doing that,
Mhm.
I'm just gonna kind of go up to one of the leader because I'm assuming I pick up on the fact these are two separate trees put together.
Yeah, like
And I
it's
would, I would
and-
tell you guys. Like,
Yeah.
I would
yeah, and
tell you what
and
I've seen.
yeah, and I share the insights that I have with everyone.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of go up and go to the one of the trees and go. So, hello. As I haven't cast anything yet.
Hmm.
I'm just kind of speaking common at the tree, and I go, do you speak normal talk?
no response from the trees.
No response from the tree.
I wouldn't expect that.
What a
Do
Yes.
trees normally talk to you?
Well, they can if I focus on it, but I don't really want to focus on it right now because I'm kind of scared what they're going to say if they can only speak in tree. Because
I mean,
it kind of
if-
looks a little bit of a weird tree.
If you find an awakened tree, you can speak Sylvan to them. But I've never seen a regular tree that talks.
Oh, I just realized I
Have
don't
I-
need to. Sorry, I was mixing
I-
up my spells. That's speak with animals. I can just speak Sylvan. But no response. Okay.
Well,
Suddenly
Sylvan
the
only
three of us are
only
just-
works
Oh.
only works with an awakened tree.
Oh my god, are the three of you just gonna? Or, I think Melissa, you were just about to say all three of you are speaking Sylvan, and Dern's just like, "Yep, I'm just here.
I'm-
This is
I'm-
great."
I'm there tapping on the tree.
Yeah.
I'm going to one of the weird fucky trees. I'm going to climb up it.
Okay. It's,
And I'm
it's
going to
easy to climb.
climb to
Can
the
you-
top.
Can you check out where they join?
Well, I think they joined at the base.
Not all of them. Some of them are literally like it's like it's like a tree that grew up and then there's like a branch that comes off and it's like the branch is from an entirely different tree.
Hmm.
So I'm just going to go to the top and kind of look over. And what do I see from the canopy area?
So from the canopy, it like you can very much see the same effect spread across. As it gets farther away from you, obviously it gets harder to detect and pick up on, but it's very much the exact same kind of general effect that spreads out. And you can notice as you look back the way you came, it's like it gets worse the closer in you go. Like not worse might be the wrong word, but it's more prominent the closer in you go. And the only reason you've really noticed it now is there was probably trees back that you've passed that had this effect going on. But you just didn't really kind of notice it until you got to a point where they were, very, very noticeable and prominent and a very
Yeah.
regular existing thing.
Okay, and then on top of something else you said there'd be like a branch, and then this part of it would be a different tree.
So yeah, like some of them, it's like literally like you've got like a deciduous tree that's growing out. It's got like its big leaves, and then there's just like a random like pine burrow that's just like shot off from that branch.
So then this would have had to have happened recently, because if those had fallen off or dried and died, then there would have grown whatever the regular branch was that was continuing, right?
We
It-
know that this forest sprouted up 30 years ago, I think
Yeah.
it was. So
Oh.
it's been approximately 30 years based on the information we've received.
and the trees are healthy, like they're growing like normal trees. There doesn't seem to be any negative side effect to having other tree present. They're just doing their thing. It just you can chop down one tree and get hardwood and softwood from it if you so choose. If you're careful,
that's
which
weird.
so it's the trees are healthy and thriving and fine. Like they're fully leaved. Like it's winter, so some of them have like shed their leaves. But there's regular pine trees. I think the oddest would be definitely like a pine tree that like halfway up just has like deciduous branches like shooting off of it. That are cleared of their leaves because it's the winter months. But it like yeah, like everything here is fairly well healthy, and actually doing quite well.
Do I see anything in the distance while I'm up there, or do I just
You
tree?
can see probably, about 15-20 miles from where you guys are, the trails of smoke, signs of civilization, moving inwards.
Okie doke. I just climb back down and go. Well, we're kind of going in the right way, I suppose.
That
This,
darn nods.
Okay, Agnes, you've had your time. So you've ritually cast detect magic. It's kind of a lazy softness that sticks to. There's clumps of magic that like wisp off of the trees, and it leads back in towards the center. Like as you can see, it's almost like a fog that's spread out, and there's tendrils of magic that are like kind of creeping along the floor. You can see pockets, deep reds, soft yellows of spots where like magic actively happens. Looking a little ways back towards your campsite, you can actually see a few of these pockets. So if you really focus, you could almost tell that where you were is where this fairy dragon and its kobold horde had literally just been pulled into this plane. And that's they set up, and this was their spot. Um, and that had been their area that they had been um, occupying. And you can see these little clumps of like magic, and it's a lot of like yellow that like seeps out from it. So very similar to when you looked at the arcanium that was used to create the gate the first time.
Yeah.
There's these, and they're in like spots. They're like little clumps that hold on to like the edges of trees.
So it's almost like this whole area is radioactive.
It would be a very similar effect to like radiation pooling out from an area, but
I feel it just because I want to say it. It's interesting. If multiple trees existed in the same spot and then were connected, what happened to the other living things that were here when the trees came and then left? I guess we'll find
Well-
out. We should go talk to people in White Summer. This is fascinating. I would really like to keep my eye out on the pathway. I would love to find a stick that is half like two different types of wood, like in a stick.
they're easy to find. Like on the ground, you can find just like fairly large branches. You can even find like almost walking stick sized bits that are like pieces of wood that are basically like wound and pushed off from each other.
I would like one of those, please. That sounds
Okay.
amazing.
Yeah, at a walking stick sized multi-tree branch, you can call it.
Got it. I'm excited. She's got a walking stick and she just picks up. She's like, if trees could be combined, I wonder what else could be combined. Oh, that's not terrifying at all.
Mac,
Burn
and your
with quill legs.
Okay, so do you guys carry on then from here, kind of thing?
Yep.
Okay, so as
Keeping a closer eye out.
Yeah.
as you continue to walk along this path, you start to see stones in the ground. These are paving stones, and you see like first it's like one or two, and you'll see clumps of them together. As you get on, it's almost like these had been here before, and then the rest of them were removed as kind of time went on. And this path is the path that people tend to follow. As you get a little bit further along still, you start to see these more and more and more regular, Eventually, they form what appears to be a fairly large and at one point probably well-traveled major walking and commerce path. This case just happens to be that it's overgrown from about, give or take 30 years of regular disuse. It's easy to walk, if again, a little dirty. And you start to come around the bend in the trees and they start to thin a little. And as they thin, you start to see the signs of once there being a civilization here. There's a house, or at least a third of a house. There's also a tree occupying the other 2/3 of the house. You see burnt out and destroyed farmsteads. You start to see carts that were just abandoned on the side. They're rotting away and useless, but you can tell that at one point that was a cart, and that might be a skeleton of a horse. But as you travel further and these buildings start to become more and more common, you can start to see more houses build, and you're almost in a town. And you hear a very soft. And as you pause, somebody goes, "You need to stop!" And you turn around.
Just did
Quill,
stop.
Quill jumps and gets in position because he was very startled by this.
Dern turns and to see what is there.
You see a small figure holding a sword outstretched towards you. And it's got its hand out back, and there is behind it another figure holding what looks to be a magical staff.
Are these
Nicky?
children?
As you look further, these are clearly children. The sword is small and made of wood, and the staff is probably actually a stick they found.
Quill gets kind of comes out of position and goes, "Oh, they're just children."
Dern turns to these children and kneels down and shows his hands, just kind of like this, and goes, "Are we in White Summer?"
The little girl behind the first figure goes, "You are!"
Fantastic. Can you take us to see some adults?
And the boy goes, "No, you're not supposed to be here." And he points the sword at you like more prominently.
Quill's gonna get down on all fours as he sees this happen. He's just kind of like cat saunter over and like kind of like weave between the two kids in front and kind of come back around and kind of curl up and put his hands like this. And he's gonna kind of pull Lou out and go, "It'd be really nice if we could see some adults, because my friend Lou here is kind of sick and he needs to get a little bump on his head checked out."
Roll me a perception check, or a persuasion.
Yes, sir. That's a 10. These are children.
These are children. Sorry, 1 second. So the little boy goes, "No, I'm guarding here." And the girl goes, but
Should
Dennis, I want to go home.
should a proper guard not report his findings?
And he looks,
Perhaps you should send your second in command back to town to report that you have captured some people.
and he looks, he crosses his arms, and he seems to be thinking about this. He goes, "You're my prisoners then." And he pokes Dern like with the tip of the sword and goes, "Well, walk."
Dern goes,
Do I have to walk? Can I just fly?
And she goes, "No. You can. Are you a fairy?"
Yes.
Agnes is gonna like get right down and be like, "He is! Isn't that cool?"
And she's gonna like do the thing that you see every like 10-year-old girl do when she gets to encounter a cat. She's gonna like cautiously reach out and like pet Quill. And she's doing the like and so Dennis points a sword at you and goes like, okay, we walk.
Durin goes, but please, that sword will hurt me. Please don't poke me again.
And he kind of brandishes at you and points in the like forward a little bit further down the path.
Now,
Alright,
a good knight does not mistreat his prisoners.
Yep. But Durin, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No.
I was about to say, Durin turns face and puts his hands kind of like this, and just starts walking forward.
Agnes is going to pick. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, I instinctually just like hop up on Durin's shoulder and put my hands up too.
The little girl is like super fascinated in all of this.
Yeah.
Like bright eyes, super just like,
Agnes is just gonna like kick up a few stones as we're walking along, and she's gonna like toss them up and down in her one hand. She'll hold on to them for the moment.
As you walk along, you hear shouts. They're vaguely concerned, but in the way of a father that is looking for their child that has wandered a little too far away.
Yeah.
And you can hear, River, Dennis, where'd you go? And as you get kind of more towards what is now a town proper, the figure wanders around the edge. You see a middle-aged man, relatively, well built, and wearing an old set of plate armor, or half plate. Sorry, not plate armor. Half plate, and he kind of walks around the corner and he locks eyes with you, Dern, at the lead of the group, and then looks at the four of them, and his hand goes to his sword. He goes, "Who are you?"
My name is Dern Rupa. We are friends, we hope.
He
And
kind of
then
looks.
Quill,
He looks
sorry,
at the
Quill,
gathering of you and goes, "Okay."
and Quill kind of on top with his hands up as well goes, "We've been captured for the little ones. They've been very good to us. Well, kind of. The one has been.
My shin will never recover.
We're their prisoners.
And his hand kind of like it stays on the sword, but like his shoulders kind of slump a little. Like he's like,
We
And-
we are we are here as emissaries.
and he goes, "Oh, good." He goes, "Let me guess, you're here to talk to James."
We do not know a James, but if he is the leader of the village, mayhaps.
Oh, I
For
think someone
James.
did mention. Someone
Did
might
they
have
mention
mentioned to James.
Did we?
I think Magnus mentioned to James.
You might have.
I think.
Sorry,
I'm not
I'm
the best
bad with
person.
names.
I'm bad with memory.
So he
I
looks
drink mushrooms in the morning.
We're
He look-
great emissaries.
he looks at the collection of you and kind of goes, and he lets go of the sword, but you can tell he's still like watching you. And as he's like, "Well, let's go," and he kind of like leads you through, and he pats Dennis on the shoulder and shakes his head a little bit, sighs, and then kind of starts to lead you through. He doesn't say anything. There's a kind of air of like he wishes you weren't here
Yeah.
about him, but he's not really guarding himself from you. He's definitely like looking over at you guys, and you can tell he's sizing you up. He's
So-
very clearly like taking a look at you and being like, "Okay."
So, am I to assume that we're not the first group sent in to negotiate?
He laughs and goes, "Of course you're not the first. And I doubt you'll be the last once we send you on your way."
Oh,
My
there
name's
seems.
Agnes. How are you doing? What's your name?
He kind of like looks at you and he goes, "That's not important. You won't be here long enough for it to matter."
Oh, I think names are very important things, and I think that what is probably gonna happen is that I don't want to go back to that village because that village is full of really, really uptight people. And I'm hoping that you're nicer than them because they suck.
Yeah,
He's
they
like-
like. Quill kind of pipes in really quick, and he goes, "Yeah, like they were really rude. I don't understand why they have like such like big butts with like sticks in them or whatever it was that one of them said."
I see
No,
they're
no.
training.
I think it was that their butts were sticky.
No, I'm pretty sure it had to do with something being up their butt. Which, like, I mean, I understand being cranky if there's something stuck up your butt, but like pull it out if you're that cranky.
Maybe they need some help. Maybe they need
I'm
someone
not-
else
Worm.
to.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah, let's go with it. They have a worm.
He rolls his
That would make
eyes
them
and goes,
cranky.
"Oh, okay. So they're training you to be funny now. I see how it is. Wonderful."
We're not.
Oh no,
they're
there
not training-
there was no training.
Yeah, we're not
there-
even from
they-
that village.
There was
Uh-huh.
actually not even really much telling us what the hell is going on. These people are from someone's womb.
He stops and he looks at you for a moment and goes, "That's not possible.
How is it not possible?
There's no way you
Well-
could make it here from the womb safely."
Dern
they open-
smile. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Well, Magnus opened the gate.
And at this, he stops and he goes, "Maybe you should talk to James after all."
Dern
I
goes.
thought that's where we were going.
Absolutely, and I will tell him that I had great help from the person named.
He sighs and he extends a hand. He goes, "I am Caleb Morningstar. I am this town's paladin."
Oh, we
I-
have a
I-
paladin too.
Yeah, I say that at the same time as everybody. We all go, "Oh, this is our paladin."
Dern Rupa, at your service. And just big old hand comes out and goes, I was trained at the Bennies.
Ah, I see. And it's this like tone of like he's kind of like searching his memory. He's clearly trying to remember a name he's forgotten. And he's like, it's oh, what's that short little man's name?
Dern laughs. And then also says his name because Riley
Argoth.
is just bad with names. Argoth, thank you. Argoth.
He goes, is he still running the Bennies?
Oh, indeed he is. I think I've upset him multiple times.
Ah, so he's still a hot-headed prick too. It's good to know.
Well, that and when I first came to the Bennies, I may have insulted his height.
This is the whole facade of like uninterested like soldier of fortune cracks, and he starts to laugh a little.
Mhm.
And he's like, "So you are from the womb then?"
Indeed.
Well, they are.
And he kind of like looks at you a little weird at that statement, and it, like you can see there's like a thought in his mind of like, "I don't trust you," but like also you're traveling with people from the womb.
I just came through the womb. Although it didn't seem very womby to me.
A lot of people just come through the womb when they need to, but maybe we should have a more forward
Appropriate.
conversation.
Appropriate sit down and talk. That.
To be more correct, I'm from the court of Oberon.
I have no idea what that is.
Different plane.
Okay,
He's a fairy.
I can see that. And
A
and
real honest to goodness fairy.
there was like a loaded comment, but he just like you can see him like visibly bite his tongue at that. And he like keeps going. So you're led through the town as you go, and you chatter with him, and he's becoming a little bit more friendly as you go.
Yeah.
And now you can notice like the two children, Dennis and River, are kind of like starting to like trail a little behind, and they're meandering. And Dennis is like swinging the sword around, all like he's trying to like be like an actual fighter. River, on the other hand, is literally just waving this stick as hard as she can.
You know, I think you may want to give your children a little more training. I mean, the girl's form is great, but that the boy with the
And he kind of looks back and he goes, "Well, if you would stay still, um, you're led you're led through the town, and this town is destroyed.
Mm.
It is ruined and pot marked, but there's still people trying to make a home out of it. You can see some houses that are actually relatively intact. They're damaged through misrepair and poor upkeep, but there's an attempt to kind of keep some of them together. Some of them have been lifted straight out of the ground by a tree.
Oh.
Um, some of them have been pushed through, like you saw before. Some of them have just collapsed. But whereas, go ahead.
I was about to say, I guess Dern kind of is looking around, looks to Morningstar, and asks that this happened 30 years ago, correct?
Yes.
How is the town still in such disarray?
We don't have the resources to fix it. There's not many people living here. We make the best of what we can.
we need a better carpenter.
Dern kind of tilts his head. Not many people living here.
There's maybe 3 dozen people total still living in the town.
What? Dern is now filled with questions about why do they need an emissary to talk to 3 dozen. Dern is like keeping this in his head.
So as you get closer, kind of to where it's obvious you're being led, there's a couple things that start to become apparent. Some of these houses aren't destroyed through disrepair. Some of these houses were destroyed by people. People vandalized, windows are smashed in, doors are kicked in. Some of the houses have been clearly set on fire. There's graffiti everywhere. There is clear signs that at some point somebody did this on purpose. This wasn't all due to the magical effects. Some of this was on purpose. There are people living here, though. You can see the signs of civilization, or at least a small community of people living in one space. And as you kind of wander, you can start to you see eyes peeking out of shadows, watching you go by. Some of them are in the tall houses that have been actually lifted up. You can see they've been turned into effectively tree houses, as they're supported up in the air by this. Some of these are even linked together by bridges that are built out of rope and planks between them. Some of these are just on the ground. Some of these are shacks built out of the remnants of houses that have been cobbled together in the place where a house maybe once stood. There's a collection of small shops that have been kind of opened up, but they don't seem to operate like the best you can tell on a traditional shop measure. They're basically operating in the same way that one would expect a like a commune to work, right? They're storing things in places, they're gathering them, and then they're distributing them from those places. As you get towards the center, it opens up into a clearing. And once you can tell, much like Gordsby, where you first came here, this used to be a very large and well-traveled and important clearing. And like Gordsby, at the center of it stands an arcane gate. This arcane gate looks sick. Those white crystals that you saw before are extended and stretched out, and they twist and bend around, and they're curled around the gate itself, and they kind of poke outwards, and it's like spikes that have shot out.
So
The
this
stone-
is. Oh, sorry. This
Nope.
would be the gate that was the original.
Yes. This is the center that it all happened. The stonework of the gate is chipped and cracked and potted together. And there's actually parts that it almost looks like the gate's trying to actually collapse in, and it's being held up. And there's like trickles of a light that are like basically holding the gate in position. And at the top of it, oh, go ahead.
Like there's active magic holding it in its circle?
Yeah, so there's something that's physically holding the gate together.
Okay.
And then the arcanium at the top, it's kind of like a flicker. It'll sometimes be the full brightness you're used to seeing. Sometimes it fades down and kind of like flickers. And as it does, the gate almost seems to heave in on itself and pull back together. And then kind of it's almost like it's struggling to hold its form. This gate is sick and it is barely functioning, but it is still active.
Properly.
That's not good.
Like, does it have a gate in going?
It does not have an active portal open, but it is still clearly supposed to be connected to the network.
The tablet, as we're coming up to it, are we going to walk by? I'm going to call it a control panel.
Yeah.
As we're coming up in front of it, and would I be able to take a look at it and be like, does the panel look damaged? Like, is it equally warped and behaving strangely, or is the warping held to the circle?
So it looks like people have pulled some of the runes off. So there's a couple of them that are missing. But like nothing really of import that seems to be missing. Like it's only one or two, and they're still there. Like they're stacked up on it. You could put them back, but it looks like somebody has like pried them free, and you can see like an almost shimmering light that's kind of behind it. But as the gate fades, so too does the light a little bit.
Okay. As we're passing by, it looks really sad. That doesn't look it looks painful.
Caleb's
Now,
go ahead.
can we feel any sort of like magical emanations? Like, if it's powerful enough that without any like detect magic, like we can feel it, like when you feel like the bass kicking in your right, reverberating and sort.
It's almost like when you've been near the gates before, there's almost a hum that surrounds them. This gate doesn't really have that. Like if you got close to it, you could feel it, but it's missing. It's very much in like poor repair, and it seems to be like almost like pulling energy in to keep itself going.
Pulling energy in.
Yeah, so like it's like almost like a magical tug every once in a while. Like the gate's trying its hardest to stay together.
Detect magic. I'm going to cast it.
Okay. I actually have to pull it up because
There's a few things that must be discussed.
well, it's I gotta make sure I've got the right magic types. Because there's a few at play that are important.
Also, in addition to this, I just want to note whether or not our guide gives any like weird reaction to me using magic, or if it's just kind of like a okay.
He just
I kind of figured, but I wanted to check.
Yeah, it's very like oh okay, like sure, like
Yeah,
that makes sense. Like that it's a logical thing to do, especially if you are if you're like looking for that. Like if like you're walking by, you see this, you know what it is, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna use detect magic on that. So what you see is like almost like a spike of yellow energy that extends upwards. So it's a bright yellow that kind of like spikes up, and it follows those spikes outwards, and you can see it almost forms like a bubble. Now that you're standing there around White Summer, and like the majority of it seems to be settling around White Summer itself, but you can see it's like layers that kind of like spread out from there. But it's exceptionally powerful, and it's almost like the gate is stuck in that kind of phase, and it's locked there. So it's not that the gate's pulling magic from the surrounding area, it's pulling magic basically out of nowhere. At least from what you can tell. It's like it's literally like sucking something in and trying to remain active. And that's where you're getting this flickering, like it's trying to go on. You also see spirals of silver kind of like wrapped around the gate and trickling out into the ground, but they're doing the same kind of like pulse and pull back that's going on. And then
That's I'm gonna just state this just as a player. That's not good. That's not good.
Have you tried turning it off and turning it on again?
is that like an actual question you're asking? Or is that a okay? So this gate looks very different from the other ones you've seen in terms of using detect magic on before. You can see now that you know what you're looking for. There's a thread that connects to it. You can kind of look and see it follows along to where Magnus's keep would have been roughly from where you've traveled. And you can see it connects kind of to, and it's holding in place. But even that, it's almost like it's unwinding and coming back together as it does. Like the threads are starting to fray. So this gate's in very, very poor shape. And it's also seems to be like constantly like holding on to whatever that kind of effect that's out from there. Now looking back to when you ritually cast detect magic before, those little spheres, you couldn't really quite see it. It almost looked at the time like a chromatic abrasion, or like, you know, like something was dirty on your glasses. You could have sworn you saw those like yellow marks from before, but now that you're standing here, you can definitely tell what you did see was points where this is descending down onto the area.
This is not good.
Melissa, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
Thank you. I generally know the colors okay, but I'm not sure what silver is, and I'm just trying to remind myself, and that's okay. Can I roll an Arcana check to be like, what does silver mean?
You definitely can.
Oh, help me. Oh, that's
3. You can't quite remember what it is.
nope. On a 3, I'm just like, that's a whole lot of colors, and that's a bubble, and it's like, this looks. I mean, again, it looks like it's struggling.
Okay. Are you guys gonna kind of stop and look, or are you gonna keep kind of following along?
Quill,
Oh, go ahead.
Quill, seeing the silver, kind of walks towards the shiny silver because that wasn't part of the previous gate, correct?
That's only if you're using detect magic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then Quill's just kind of staring at the gate, not really picking up on anything. Then
It's got the spikes. The other ones didn't have like the spikes.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
okay.
this gate looks very different from one. Like it, like the base is the same, but like whatever happened, this gate has been like very heavily damaged in along the way.
But it's got spikes. That feels like it would have to be either man-made or morphed.
They look like they were morphed. Like if like from, because like look at knowing what your passive perception is, Quill, it looks like literally the little silver crystals you'd seen before had spiked out and wrapped around the gate before twisting together and then forming the spike outwards from it.
Okay. Yeah, Quill's gonna kind of look at the guy that's been kind of marching us forward and go, Charlotte, how come you don't use this one? Is it because it looks like it's evil?
And he kind of looks at it, he goes, well, it's unstable. We've tried, but since the gate network was shut down, there's nowhere to go. And even if there was, we've tried sending people through, but most of them never come back.
So did it look like this with like the flashiness while the network was powered down?
Oh,
Or did it just
looked like this since the opening.
Okay, so there's been no change over the last couple of days.
No, nothing's really changed recently.
Okay. Have you guys tried removing the activation crystal?
One of our predecessors was dumb enough to try to remove it, and he looks like kind of to the ground, and there's just a black smear.
Ooh.
Like it's like ash, but it's like it's not ash. Do you remember like you seeing the Hiroshima like burn marks? It's like that.
What's his name? Ash.
I honestly couldn't tell you what any of their names were. I don't care to know.
Dern nods and goes, "There's a lot of questions being created here."
I'm sure one of us will have an answer for you, I hope.
Has anyone tried like dispel magic or setting up like an anti-magic field?
None of us are strong enough to do something like that.
Has Magnus actually been out to take a look at it?
Not as long as I've been here.
What? Why wouldn't you invite him out here then?
Why would we invite a lackey of the fucking feds out there, stacking bodies and killing people?
He's the one who like built the circle. Probably the best person to get to like when it malfunctions.
I think Dern will actually just kind of state, I think that's the reason why we are here.
Wait, sorry, hold on. No, did you say killing people?
Yeah. Kingdom kills people, anyone they don't like, they fucking off them. Call it a day.
I mean, he didn't like me at all, and I'm still here.
Yeah, for now. You're gonna go back, you're gonna tell them what you saw, and they're gonna... So you don't tell anyone else. That's what they did to everyone else that came through here.
I don't.
The Queen likes him.
The Queen did like him.
I think Dern is just like, there's too many questions.
He throws his hands up. He goes, "Listen,
is that steam coming out of your ears?"
He's like, "I'd love to help you, but honestly, I'm not even from the original group that like helped clear this place out. Like, you should talk to James. Like, he can answer all your questions."
Let's talk to James.
So you walk past the gate, and there's what clearly used to be a town center. It's a fairly large building, actually, 3 stories, very modern construction by our actual by what you've seen so far. Everything's been very traditional D&D Forgotten Realms style buildings before. This looks like a brick construction you would have got, the late 19th century, early 20th century, like regular building. Like, this was built clearly by somebody who understood a little bit more modern architecture, which is probably a testament to the fact that it's still standing. The sides of the building are scorched. It's got signs of arrows. In fact, there's probably some arrows still sticking into the side of the building at this point. And this thing has seen fights. The stairs leading up to it are surrounded by a barricade that has been constructed and reconstructed and reconstructed. And there's actually like 2 people positioned kind of like at the entrance walking you come with Caleb. And they like kind of eye you. They look at him and he like waves them off and they shrug.
They're watching what?
They're watching like the group of you as you've been like wandering around the town center. They've had a clear line of sight on you this entire time, being able to watch. But this building is in rough shape. It's clearly been the center of a fight. It's clearly been attacked multiple times. And it's not, this is probably the only building that shows signs of actively having been repaired throughout here. And it's mostly, in this case, in the form of windows that have been boarded up on the lower level, and the door has been put back together a couple times.
Okay.
You're led inside, and this is again, a fairly modern foyer, a nice open space. There used to be a reception desk and a waiting area here, both of which are long gone. Or at least the actual like use for them is gone. They're kind of been repurposed. And in the center of the room is a large table. And at the end of the table, opposite to where you are, you see a man looking over a set of maps and a set of stacks of paper. And he kind of looks up at you. And he rolls his eyes and he goes, Caleb, where'd you find these little bitches? Like, we're not surrendering. Send them on their way.
Oh, no. We surrendered to the small child.
And he looks at you and he goes, Dennett? Caleb, is your kid running around again? I told you he's gonna get himself killed.
Don't worry, his sister's got his back.
And he goes, that doesn't make it better.
But yet it kind of does.
Well, you gotta teach her how to throw an Eldritch Blast.
I hope she doesn't make a pact in any time she's here. If we're lucky, she'll become a wizard.
Oh, I know a few good fairies she could pack too.
And he goes, get your spiel over with. And Caleb goes, well, hold on, James. They're not Hemlig lackeys. They're from the womb. And he looks at you and he goes, bull fucking shit you are. He goes, if you're from the womb, what's the name of the broad that runs that really cool bar?
Which bar are you talking about?
The one you go down, it's got all the music playing, there's all the really chill people hanging out there. What's her name?
That's Benasha, right? Benasha? What's that
Yeah.
one? Yeah.
Okay, but like, grumpy dude. Always tinkering with shit. What's his name?
Callahan.
I was gonna say Hoots.
They don't know who, because they haven't actually lived, because they're living in tree forts and apparently a downtown office building, but we should really introduce them to Hoots because he'd probably really like this place.
And he goes, okay, maybe you are from the womb. Why are you here?
We were asked on behest of Magnus to come and speak with you.
You're talking the grumpy old dude who's responsible for all this chaos, right? One who gave them the idea they can punch between planes. Yeah, I'm sure he sent you with nothing but good tidings. What does he want? He wants his stone back, doesn't he?
Actually, they're
I don't
looking for
think
He didn't really say that he wanted anything specific.
He pulls a chair up, he puts his feet up on the table, and he leans back, and he's like, okay, so you're telling me, one, you're from the womb, so you got here from some whatever
via
means.
the gate.
Okay, the gates don't work to the womb. I've tried. They don't dial back.
They just turned it on like the other day. There was this whole big thing with the guy taking the thing out and putting the thing into the gate, and Magnus magicked a letter over to us. And
I believe Hoots said something along the lines of activate the chevron.
Okay. So you're making a Stargate reference. I can appreciate that.
Oh, are you from Earth too? So am I.
Okay, where are you from in Earth?
Oh, small town. Probably never heard of it.
Okay, what country are you from?
Don't worry about it.
I visited the
The least convincing like backup of a thing ever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well my dad works in Nintendo. What part? I'm not telling you.
I visited was it Earth?
Yarth.
Yeah, Earth. I visited there once. It was terrible. Everyone was talking about like this edgelord, called him the Black Death, and then I accidentally knocked over a lamp in a baker's shop and started a fire, so I left.
I came from a small farm. Just a small little town. Nothing too extraordinary. Nothing like this.
Name me 2 continents.
North America and South America.
You did set the bar pretty low.
Oh, I did. He did. He's sussing it out, right?
Agnes is being so I'm just gonna say it because I'm sure no one's gonna roll for it. Agnes isn't usually so avoidant about her details. She very pointedly didn't want to talk about where she's from.
Fair.
I visited London. It was smelly.
Okay. Maybe you are who you say you are. It still doesn't make sense, Magnus, to send you all the way out here. He hasn't ever stepped foot out here, and I know for a fact he could come here if he wanted to. Wouldn't even take him any effort. Son of a bitch never shows his face. So you telling me he reactivated the gate network and sent you here? Now, did he want you to come here, or is, the king still throwing around words like clear him out?
The queen has sent us.
Yeah, I guess the king and queen are dead, and there's a new queen. She seems nice, but everyone else on her council seems like assholes.
Except for that
It's
one
true.
orc who I rather enjoyed his company.
They're a real mixed bag.
Okay.
What
Okay.
they are trying to
Specifically,
say.
specifically, if this kind of helps, Magnus told me to go to the court because they wouldn't like me, and that was like a good thing for him because I was like annoying or something, and they really didn't like me,
That
and he
that
didn't
sounds
like
like
me.
Agnes.
Technically, we are here on behalf of the council and the queen, but it was really more Magnus that dealt with us than
Okay. So
we were supposed to negotiate and stuff, but they never really said what they want to negotiate.
Okay, so they sent you here, no terms. They just want you to negotiate. They tell you to pick up anything or to like find out
No.
anything and come back, or what was the like? Did any like subtle veiled hints, threats maybe?
I seem to remember something about wanting to stop people from getting killed. I think that's about it.
They seem to think you're dangerous, which, I mean, you don't seem very dangerous. You seem lovely. And I just didn't really like it there. And so they were like, well, why don't you go talk to the Rekindled? And we're like, yeah, they seem like a better lot than you. So now we're here. But they're not very happy. And they seem scared. And people do weird things when they're scared. And it seemed
Especially
worth our
intolerant
time.
people.
Yes.
And they
It
seemed rather intolerant.
seemed worth our time to come talk to you, regardless of why they think they sent us.
Did they tell you they sent people before?
Yes.
Yes.
Envoys?
Yes. They. I thought they. Sorry. Pause for a second.
Pause. I can't. I thought no.
I thought they had.
Can we
both
get a
remembering
reminder on
different
what the
things.
story was?
So the guy none of you liked specifically had mentioned that they had sent people before.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think they said that none of them ever returned. Or something like that.
Yeah, that's out
But-
out of character.
Yeah,
There.
yeah. Just reminding of what was said like 2 weeks ago. So
Yeah.
that could-
So they said that there were people sent and that they never returned.
Yes.
And Caleb said that envoys come and then they get offed when they come back.
Maybe that guard that we met. Maybe there's a bit of a darker secret down in that basement. But we're here to try and either save you or at least make this situation amicable.
Listen, we want only one thing, and that's to be left the fuck alone. We don't want to be part of their kingdom. We don't want to be part of their nothing. We want to be left alone. We got a good thing going here. We just chill.
And what happens to the people that came here?
What do you mean the people that came here? The envoys, we sent them back. And then, from what we know, from our own little special spies, is that when we send them back, the guys at the fort, off them, throw them in the river, never to be seen again. It's simple.
And what have they been asking of you?
Same thing. They want us to surrender. They want us to give the town back. They want to clear the path. And they just want us to fuck off. But it's our home. We live here. We've been living here for 30 years. Well, 15.
What happened 15 years ago?
We got rid of the people that were living here before.
In what way?
Well, when he kind of like gestures around, he's like, when this happened, people that lived in White Summer tried to stick around. They didn't want to go anywhere. They had a good thing going on. Yeah, there was a sun forest going on, but the forest, gives back what people ask of it. And people wouldn't ask much. But they didn't really need the king and queen anymore. So they had themselves this great little place, kind of separated away, good little thing. And one day, according to everyone, some rekindled show up, and they killed a bunch of people. Dragged all of them into the center of the street, offed them, called it a day, set up camp. We came back. We pushed them out because we were told we could clear out the town. We could, have our own little place. They reneged on that deal, so we kept it. This is our home now. We fought to keep the people here safe. We fought to make it a community again. I ain't giving that up.
So the bad guys came in, and then you kicked out the bad guys.
Yeah.
Or
I'm gonna roll an insight
you-
on that.
Or were you guys the guys that kicked out the?
That's a nat 20.
So on a natural 20 and a 24, all things considered. So he's not lying. James Orville, man you're talking to, is 100% serious in the fact they showed up and they pushed out the people that had taken over.
Okay.
You can tell with 100% certainty that he was told he would be given it the town, that the people that he was with would be given the town to turn back into a community and not required to join the kingdom.
Okay.
And that the people that were here were not good people.
And to
Okay.
clarify, if it's okay, can I just clarify something? You had
Mhm.
said that, so the event 30 years ago occurred.
Mm-hmm.
People who were there. Rekindled came in and took them out,
Mm-hmm.
or in one way or the other, unclear right now. And then this group came in and cleared out the Rekindled, in what manner, not entirely clear right now. And now they are here, and that happened 15 years ago. Okay. So yeah, go ahead.
Seeing this in my very good insight, Quill kind of looks at him and goes, "So, did they say why they went back on the deal?"
You know what it is, right? Kings and queens got to expand their kingdom. Now, the walls to the kingdom used to be about 40 kilometers, give or take, that way. And he points like roughly north. And he's like, yeah, that used to be their borders. This was their last major trading hub. They had a lot of transport coming through here. And, they probably want it back. Here's the thing, I don't really think that they deserve to have it back because the people out here weren't treated all that well, from what I understand, right? But it's a little bit of he said, she said, we got a little bit of like people telling us that it was good, people telling us it wasn't good, but kind of just have to go off the instinct that like it couldn't have been all bad, right? People were here, they were relatively happy. They didn't need a king or queen to thrive, pay taxes to. They just wanted to like survive all of this. They'd already survived the opening. Why would they suddenly need to go back?
Dern takes a moment to kind of digest all of this kind of information, the way how this guy's feeling, and he can tell that this guy is going to be the immovable object of this town. He's going to be the one that is going to be the hardest to convince. But Dern sighs at like all this information and goes, "The only problem is we are apparently the last emissaries they're going to send."
So
Yeah,
just
next
to
is a full
confirm,
invasion force.
just to confirm here, real quick, for my own sake.
Yeah.
So there was a bunch of he said, she said bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And Dern is saying that he thinks that he better quit and let that shit slip, or else they might be living with a fat lip.
Basically.
Yeah, effectively.
Okay, so we're living in Limp Bizkit's world. Then I get it.
Yes.
Those are the lyrics
Okay.
to break stuff.
So James, you are effectively the leader of this.
We don't really have a leader. We kind of just as we need for different things. I manage a lot of the resources. That's what I was good at back home. I was really good at stocking stuff, making stuff make sense. And when I came here, I was still really good at that, and it was necessary. So I've just kind of taken over the role of like handling a lot of the daily management, but I'm not really in charge. We all make decisions together.
So, are you married?
No.
Okay. What I propose is a solution to the problem. Is we form a treaty between your group and the town and the kingdom. And in order to solidify this treaty, you marry the queen. You are therefore the king of the kingdom.
Okay. They tell you what happened to Tayo when they had a treaty in place? They tell you what happened to that? Whole free state, allowed to do what they want, trade with us, don't worry about it.
But were they married?
No. The Tayo
Yeah,
guy thinks
see?
he's descended of some sun god or something. I don't know. He's a bit of a weird one.
I think Dern is going like, marriage seems to be a bit of a different step than what I was going to propose, which is, why not come
What?
back to the womb?
We like it here. We made a home for ourselves.
I understand that, but when soldiers are going to be knocking on your door, there's going to be more than just a small town worth.
Well, why don't we save that for plan C? Is that if we can't figure something out, we can always evacuate the town to the womb. Right? Rather than you guys facing an army.
Yeah, but how are we gonna get there? We just gonna...
Through the gate.
Not this gate, but we can get you to the other gate that's functioning.
You think they're gonna let us go? You honestly think they're gonna let you walk out of here?
Then
No.
you would no longer be their problem, so they state.
Yeah.
They want you out. This would get you out. This would make your people safe.
Nah. This would make us safe. They would never let us leave. They've never let anyone leave.
It's at least an escape plan if everything else goes to shit.
Well,
right?
the queen.
Let's not say that it's not an option. Let's leave that as the final option. Right?
I have an idea.
Red turn.
The queen kind of like doesn't really like her people. It's kind of obvious. They're like we talked about the matchstick thing. So like, what if? And she's kind of a big if. I don't really know politics. I'm sure that's kind of clear. So like, what if the people in your town kind of become the new council?
I don't think they would go for that. Like, again, Tayo, when they got, willingly absorbed, they joined the council, sure, but like, it wasn't immediate, and I bet you they vetted him.
What if their council isn't a council anymore?
Like, I'm talking like a full-on takeover.
Oh goodness, like Dern is like, he's like, this is not good.
Let's all the hypotheticals, all of your reasons for why you can't leave aside. If we could get you out, if you are faced with your whole village being destroyed because they have an army versus a chance that we can get 36 people out of here.
Are you gonna let Dennis and River be killed by an army just because you're stubborn?
Would you leave?
Pulling the
me a
bad
perception.
card.
You want to
Roll me a
persuasion on that?
persuasion, yeah, sorry. That's a 9.
And I have a plus 5 on that.
So okay, that's probably not gonna do it. Uh,
Ag-
19 is a whole other can of worms, though.
I don't know how much harder the DC gets after one failure. But
Um,
I think being called stubborn probably doesn't make him happy, but maybe the other part of the conversation's better. Maybe.
and he kind of
Yeah,
like,
I mean, showing him that he's risking the lives of children should kind of to help.
yeah, no, it's definitely like. Sorry, I'm rolling my own checks really quickly here.
Oh, yeah.
He kind of like. I mean, but if we leave, like, what have we been doing? You know? And he kind of like he slumps down. He takes his feet off the chair and he's like, "You think you can get us all out, though? You think they're gonna let us go?"
I
mean,
will
if-
make
have to
a
try.
path if I have to.
He's really good at swinging a hammer and making a path, so it just might be a more fleshy path.
I mean, we killed a dragon yesterday.
Like,
He's not lying.
Not lying.
like I got a full size dragon. Like, what did you? What?
I mean, yes, it was a fully grown dragon.
Again, he's not lying.
I'm gonna chime in, realizing what's happening, and be like, it like curled around Dern and was like squeezing him and mind controlling him, and like Dern went like all evil and tried attacking us, and we still managed to take out both Dern and the dragon.
Wait, you did what?
You were evil at the time. Don't worry about it.
I just remember waking up.
Did we not go over this with you?
No.
And when the dragon tried to mind control him, I killed him. And then I brought him back, so it's fine. I'm sure we'll be fine.
And I'm so strong. They're like, I was able to bury the dragon afterwards. It's like, sorry we killed you kind of thing.
Vern is now very confused, but he's not saying anything more.
I feel like Dern's the kind of guy who gets really uncomfortable when people start lying around him.
Oh, 100%. Because
I-
Dern has his own little things he's dealing with, but like at this moment, he's just like, wait, what? Wait, what? I was knocked out. Wait, what?
I'm still concerned, like as a player here. I feel like we're just giving up this fucked up gate, and I feel like that's an important piece here. We are very much so ignoring it.
I think
I
Magnus needs to be here more. Sorry.
no, I wanna figure out what this guy is willing to do before, like in fact, okay, in game. Well, let's try the other option. You know, you don't want to run away. You're not sure if you're going to make it. How are you going to fight against them? Because he's a paladin. What are you?
And he kind of looks around and he goes, "Well, I'm a little bit of a bard, a little bit of a, you know, a handsome rogue, shall we say?"
He's a music man.
Sure. Okay. What else you got?
It was magic. I got magic, and like, they don't tell you. They don't tell you the whole reason they're afraid of the rekindled. They're squishy.
Are
They.
you squishy?
I mean, only as squishy as you guys are.
I mean, I'm not that squishy, to be honest with you.
No.
I'm well rather squishy compared to like Dern.
Oh yeah, and almost everyone who's here is just like us. There's a couple people that are just, you know, people looking for a better life, but Most of us? An army? I bet you we could take them if we really had to. Like, I don't know. They're not really that tough. Kind of go splat if we really were honest.
Do you want to leave that legacy to your children?
He kind of frowns and he's like,
We are offering you a way out safely.
And if they won't let us leave, we'll kill them.
Turns head goes down again. He's just like,
okay. Okay, it'll take time though. Like, we've got lives here. It take us at least what, a week, two, pack up enough to leave.
you have a
Not like
You
lose
have,
every-
you have 5 days.
I
Because
don't-
we have to get back.
we have a limited time here where when the gate will be open and we can return.
Well, and you've actually got less time to return.
Yeah.
And it's more than that of a walk back.
Yeah.
So like you would have to leave now to make it back to town in time.
To get back to the
To
portal.
to get back to Havborg in time. So you traveled by ship
Yes.
to the port. You don't have access to the ship now. You would have to walk the whole way.
Hmm.
So you would have to leave today to make it back to Havborg in the Queen's time.
Oh,
We
I didn't pick
like.
up on that.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
do
but
not
that-
have the time.
But they do, right? Because they can go directly to the other gate.
And we can
Yeah.
meet you there.
And he kind of looks around. And he's like, "But,"
We can.
and he's like, I can't make the decision for everyone."
No, we understand that.
He's like, "Give me an hour. I'll pull everyone over. We can have a chat. We can talk about it as a collective, and we can make a decision.
If you wish us to be there, we can.
You're gonna have to be. We've made a life here, and me convincing them to leave, not gonna be easy. You'd have better luck convincing, I don't know, a rock not to be a rock.
I know someone who can do that. He's not
I
here
can-
though.
I can be rather loud.
Ultimately, it's your choice. But if nothing else, as the last messengers before the army comes in, a life is better lived than ended unnecessarily.
Let's talk. Give me an hour. We'll talk to the town. And with that, we're gonna go to break. Okay.
What happens when we try to talk?
Sometimes it goes good, sometimes it goes bad. We'll see. See you in 10 minutes, chat. we're back.
We are back,
Hmm.
but we were always here.
So, when we broke, you were agreeing to have the town come together, to have one more moment to kind of to kind of convince them that they should abandon their town, that they consider to be their homestead. As we were breaking, I kind of let the team know, and I'm going to tell you viewers how this is going to work. When we get to the actual conversation about convincing them whether to stay or leave, we're going to roll it persuasion against insight, just for ease of numbers. Based on what our players, the lovely people here that are sitting with me, say, will change how hard that roll is effectively.
Oh, cool. Fuck that up.
So they're going to have 3 chances to either succeed. Basically, we're treating like death saves. 3 successes or 3 failures. They hit 3 successes, it's automatic success. They hit 3 failures, and the town will be locked out. We'll basically tell them to leave and that they'll take care of themselves. Which is where we left off, and where we come to is in the town center, standing around the gate. There is now the 4 of you, James, Caleb, and give or take about 3 dozen other people that have kind of gathered around you to hear what you have to say. James looks at you and goes, well, I told them what the plan is. You guys believe it's a good idea to leave. It's a mixed bag of opinions. I gave as much info as I can. The rest's up to you.
Dern walks forward and goes, "This is not an easy decision. We understand these woods have become your home. We want to bring you to safety. We are from the womb. We will prove that as many ways as we can." Dern looks about the people. How many families are there?
There's a few. Like, there's people that were born here in White Summer.
Mm-hmm. This is not an easy journey, and frankly, we are the last emissaries they're sending.
Kind of a hushed whisper.
It's what they have told us. And we are similar to you, to some of you. We are rekindled. I am from a plane called Eberron. Agnes is from Earth. We want to make sure that you are safe. And Dern will step back a little bit and let one of the others take over.
Roll me your first persuasion.
Now, is this a group persuasion? Or no, is it just me?
It's just
Just
you.
me.
You're the one talking.
22! Fuck yes!
That'll be a success.
Quill's gonna kind of pipe up and go, I don't really know where I'm from, so I can't really give you any confirmation for that. But when I first got here, everything was really scary because it used to be people were bigger than me, and now they were like my size, kind of. So like I ran away from the womb because it's really scary, and now I live in the womb or like close to the womb because it's actually not scary. It's like a really nice place with like a really nice like places to go. Like there's a bar there that I go to. It's got the best fireplace you've ever seen. Really nice people. It's like if you're going to go somewhere, you might as well go somewhere where you're always going to meet someone new because there's always someone new there, like all the time. So like, I mean, you've got little kids here, and you know I'm kind of a little bit kind of like a kid, and I have a lot of fun in the womb. There's lots to do, and if one of them ever decides that they want to learn to like properly hurt them with a sword, they could do that at the womb.
It's kind of a a gentle murmur, and a bit of a. Somebody goes, "Yeah, but like, we live here," and a woman kind of like pushes herself to front. She goes, "This is our home. Like, are they just gonna give us houses when we get there, a place to live? Like, what are we gonna do?"
I
It's a
mean,
oh, sorry, go ahead. Cool.
yeah, this is my talk.
It's your talk. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, I'm kidding. Quill kind of goes, well, look, my house was grown for me when I got there from like a tree thing. So I mean, there's always a chance we could find you a place and just like grow you a home. And if not, we could always like give you guys kind of like your only little chunk of land, and you can like do the thing with building your own stuff again. But this time it'll be like your stuff, not like taking over from other people's stuff. So it'll be a lot of like pride in the work, and then kids can like grow up with that pride, and not like human remains spread across the floor.
As everybody's head in the area looks to the flag
Yeah.
stain.
So like if you're looking for like a place that's like home and has buildings, there might not be buildings the first day you get there, but pretty quickly it's going to feel like a lot more home than here. Because like, is there anyone standing around here that's like not with like a partner, like a man or a woman?
There's like the woman who stepped forward. She doesn't seem to have anyone with her.
Cool. I'm like, do you have like a partner?
He's like, "No."
It's probably because there's not a lot of good prospects here, and the thing is, a lot of the good ones are like skimped up from other people. If you go to the womb, there's like a ton of people you could meet, and you could like find the love of your life. And I kind of pull Lou out, and I go, "This is my best friend. I didn't meet him, in the womb. He's always been with me. But these are like my second best friends." And I kind of point to everybody and go, "If it wasn't for the womb, I wouldn't have met them at all, and I'd just be me and Lou. And Lou's amazing, but we do get lonely sometimes. And ever since going to the womb, I've really enjoyed these people, and it's all because of the womb."
Durin goes second.
Agnes, it looked like you were going to say something earlier too. Do you want to add on before we roll?
No, I'm waiting for my turn.
Okay. Quill, give me a persuasion, please.
Not great. An 11.
Doesn't necessarily mean anything. We'll see how that actually plays out.
If that speech doesn't get them, then they're fucking screwed.
Remember, there are modifiers that David was keeping in mind as people were doing things.
I'm tracking them as you talk.
Yeah. Want to get laid? Go to the womb.
And that's a success.
Fuck yeah.
Agnes?
Eggy kind of steps up and goes, we're all kind of have a similar story. Most of us have a similar story. We showed up here and we had new experiences and new people. We're rekindled. We were plucked from our worlds, from our lives, and we created new ones. And we created new homes. And I know from experience that it's scary to try something new and to go somewhere that you might have never even dreamed of. And the idea of leaving your home when you had to rebuild it again and maybe again and again is hard. But the womb is home for those that want it to be home. And if not, I would hope that the opportunity to live outweighs the ego of standing for something that this place is not home. You are your home. And I hope that you'll come with us. If not, we're not here to tell you what you have to do. We're not them. That's not our job. But
So-
I hope you'll come.
So one of the there's kind of a taller, rough, like a Goliath that kind of like pushes his way through, and he goes, "But I left the womb because I wanted to find my own way, and I feel like I'm gonna be going back." He's becoming Quill the longer I talk.
Um,
I don't know if I can go back there, you know?
well, it's just a landing spot. I mean, it's really no different than like a terminal. We're just going to take a different terminal and we'll find a new place. But this place right now, and maybe that will change in the future, but right now, this is not a safe space. And
Well-
we can't stop all of them right now.
But like, what if we want to try to stop them from coming? This is what, you know. I don't think it's so bad.
I
I
think Dur. Oh, go ahead, Agnes. No, I was going to help support, but nope. Go ahead.
you seem very brave. And I think you should be very proud of yourself, and maybe you can. But there are a handful of you and countless of them. And I'm not saying that what you stand for isn't worthwhile. I just do you, I want you to consider what's possible when you step into a new adventure rather than getting tied down to what was holding you before.
Do you want to add your bit in, Riley?
I think Dern just nods to Agnes. I think. I don't think Dern's going to add anything at this point. I think that was very well spoken.
Okay, well, give me your persuasion.
Can I give myself guidance?
You can, yes.
Okay. Dirty 20 plus the guidance that I'm not going to roll on top of that. Unless I have to. Let me know if I need to
With-
roll the guidance.
With a natural 1. There's kind of like a general like murmur of agreement and you know, accepting that passes through the town. And there's some slumped shoulders, and you can hear some tears and some crying that happens. And Caleb nods. He pats James on the shoulder. James heaves a sigh. He goes, "Well, suppose we should gather our things then. Get out of here."
Dern nods.
He goes, "You don't think, like, you know, we leave him a couple surprises? You think that's in bad form?"
Dern smiles and goes, "Make sure that you leave a package that gives the name of the counselor and of the human counselor who was at the table."
Perhaps a nice box of something unpleasant.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess we'll be gone by the end of the week. Gives us some time.
Dern nods and goes, "We have to make quick haste. We have to get back to the Queen rather quickly with the answer."
Okay, well, I mean, you can head back through town. I don't know. I think it's about 2 days back to a day and a half to the fort you came through. Just don't trust that guy. He gives me bad vibes.
We will not be trusting him. It's just a long walk back.
It is a long walk. And Agnes is going to go and like be looking at the gate. and I specifically would like to take a look at the runes that have been pulled out.
Mm-hmm. So, looking at the gate, the topmost right rune is missing. And the 3 rows down, second from the middle.
Okay. Yeah, she's just gonna stand kind of looking at it quietly for a few minutes while the crowd's kind of doing its thing.
It's starting to disperse. They're shuffling into buildings and places, and you can hear conversations being had. And there's this kind of like melancholy that's just kind of descended on the town.
Can I kind of
Sorry.
like
Sorry.
Oh, I'm not. My poker face is gone. Um, can I call out to James
Yeah, for
and
sure.
kind of beckon him over to the gate? I'm kind of looking at him, going, so why does yours look so different from all the others?
And he shrugs and he goes, "Well, it's a side effect. Whatever they were trying to do, you know, when they caused the opening, it's sick. I think. I don't know. This is the best way to put it, right? You get a car, and you do some mods to it. You think they're tasteful, and it doesn't quite run right anymore, and it's the same kind of thing, right? You know."
You keep calling it the opening. I don't feel like anyone else we've talked to has really used those terms before.
They call it, what is it, the apocalypse or something over dramatic like that?
Well, I mean, it looks like it burned down a lot of places, so I don't blame them.
And one member of a town. Dern looks again to the ash streak on the ground.
Well, it's a little different, you know. I mean, I wasn't, you know, and he's really uncomfortable. Like, you can tell he's like really unsettled.
You said
Were
that.
you here when the guy was smeared? Is that?
No, not that. It's you know, it was a thing that happened, and it wasn't, it's nobody's fault. You know, good people making bad decisions.
I mean, all of the best ways of. I mean, not best ways, but like everybody learns somehow. I mean, how do we learn what mushrooms we're allowed to eat? Why someone had to eat them before, and then we figured out which ones were okay, right?
He's like,
Has
yeah.
anyone- Sorry to interrupt here. Has anyone like thought about like, I don't know, shooting one of the stones out of the thingy?
Like to try and dislodge it.
Yeah.
Whatever this is, and he gestures to it. He's like, I think it's like protecting itself. I don't know how else to put it. It's like there's some kind of, I don't know. It's like that's the only thing that's working, right? So
It seems to have some sort of like self-repair magic in it.
That's what
kind of.
we thought
like-
too, but it's never fixed itself. It's always just kind of stayed
Well,
like that.
I mean, it looks rather damaged. So if even the self-repair magic was damaged, it might not be able to repair itself completely, and just keeps, you know, trying.
Do you? I mean, if it's trying to repair itself, just because it looks different doesn't mean it's not still good.
Tell that to Mr. Smear.
That's because he tried to forcibly remove a piece of it.
How many stones are missing?
Like from the dial pedestal.
Yeah.
There's two. There's two that have been pulled out from the dialing device, basically.
Because, like, Agnes has that Revivify stone,
Hmm.
and someone must have another Arcanium stone here from somewhere.
Well, I think what you had said, David, correct me if I'm wrong, that the rune stones that came out of the the dial pad basically are sitting on the side.
Yeah,
They've
they're-
been like,
they're-
pulled out and they're setting aside.
Yeah, like they're physically there.
Okay, can I take out
Okay.
the instructions that Magnus had given me for
Like,
his
Yeah.
circle
Mhm.
and take a look at the runes that are missing and just kind of like
So none of the ones missing would be required to dial to Magnus, but they would be required to dial to the womb.
okay. I'm gonna
I'm
kind of look at it and
gonna-
I'm gonna press the first rune.
I'm
There's
going to fly back.
there's a shudder, and it's like the gate vibrates for a second, and the top right like spire point lights up, and it like fizzles a little bit, and there's kind of like a little bit of like spark that happens. Nothing dangerous, but like it's like it's short circuiting a little bit.
What are you doing, Aggie?
Learning.
Okay, well, like, don't give away the stone that like makes us stay alive, because I'd rather not die.
Well, you can hold it if you want to, and I give it to him. But
What-
I want to know how this works.
Yeah,
You just gave the stone to Quill.
Yeah, I just gave the revivify stone to Quill.
Yeah, well, she might need it in a second. Quill, why don't you come over here with me?
Dern is going to stand with Agnes and put his hand on her shoulder and goes and just nods.
I mean, it seems like it's lighting up. She looks back down and kind of looks over at James. And it's just like, mind if I keep pressing buttons?
He's like, sure, it worked before, I think.
Quill very quickly moves away because he knows the black smear and he is like out.
Black smear was for the, the black smear, Quill. Black smear was because someone tried to touch the top stone. Boom, and presses the second one.
The second one, now you notice it's almost like a flickering after effect. Like now both rooms that you've dialed are like hovering over their white spires, and the second white spire lights up, and there's just kind of like a little like a buzz in the air.
Mr. Dern, we only have one of those stones.
Dern nods and goes, yes, and Agnes is not removing this top stone. I trust Agnes.
No offense, but I don't, and I keep staying back. And like, don't take it personally. It's just this is very like this thing's kind of scary.
But Dern's hand has definitely taken off Agnes now and is standing about maybe a foot or two away.
Does anyone remember how much time we had on the other side of the ring? On the
It was
other
a
one, when we
few-
were in the
it
womb?
was- We had a bit of time.
I trust Dern's memory. Bong.
The third one begins, the runes begin to light up. Now the gate almost looks like it's stronger, and there's like an audible vibration, and like the missing chunks are like waving in and out of from the ring, and it's like shaking a little bit.
Well, if my assumption's right, bong.
Fourth one lights up, and the thing is now just like there's like a static in the air, and people are like watching.
How many runes
is-
do I need to press?
7. There's 7. you
7.
need total.
Okay.
Isn't there supposed to be a chant that you do when you press those? I thought the bird guy said some chant.
Dern goes, can I press the next one? This looks really
Yeah. It's this one that looks like a shoe with kind of like a thing coming off of it. Press that one.
I believe Hoot said Chevron. Wait, which number are we on?
5.
Chevron 5. And he presses the button.
It lights up. Now the
Yeah,
gate like it's starting to like pull together forcibly, and the stone at the top is like violently shaking, and it's like between purple and like red, and it settles back into purple, and it almost feels like the gate is like holding on to what you're doing.
Okay.
We're gonna go see Magnus and see if we can't increase our odds. Are you coming with us? Bong.
6th one lights up, and now there's like there's dust falling off of buildings. There's like a thing, and then it just kind of stops. It's like the gate's paused now, waiting for that last one.
And I turn to my party.
Dern nods.
Go for it!
Way on the other side.
Quill is very far back, being like, "Please don't die."
We'll probably see you in a minute. Are we doing this, Dern?
Dern goes,
If you
"Which
guys
one's the
go
last one?"
through, isn't it not just a one direction thing? Like the rest of us don't go through.
You
Dern,
guys can go with it. It's an open portal.
yeah, Dern
Oh,
puts his
okay.
hand on Agnes's and goes, and he nods.
I don't really want to see any more dragons in that forest, so Chevron 7.
The crystal at the top lights up, and it's the first time that the gate looks like what you expected, and everything just kind of seems to collapse back into place. And there's a shimmer and a shudder, and the white ring begins to form around the edge of the circle. A small mote of light appears in the middle, and you can now see the inside of Magnus's keep.
I fold up the instruction sheet and put it in my pocket.
Dern calls out through the portal, "Magnus, you home!"
And there's kind of a pause for a moment. And Magnus walks himself into view, and he's wearing like an apron, like he was trying to cook something. He dusts himself off, and he looks at the space where the portal is. I mean, it's like he can look through, and he goes, one second here. And he places his hand on what, like, just out of frame, and there's a pause. And the spikes shear off the edge of the crystals and fall to the ground. And the portal seats itself back into place. And you see him reach his hand out somewhere else, and he shudders. Like there's kind of like a sudden bit of pain. And you watch, like, it's almost like a creeping sensation that pushes back out, like almost like some kind of energy had pulled and been pulling on him. And the gate on the other side begins to reconnect and snap into pieces. And like all the little like chips and bits heal away and fade, and you're left with a perfectly pristine gate. And he looks through and he goes, "There's only a few people that have access to this. However, this won't hold for long. They'll need a new stone soon. You might want to come through."
Dern nods and goes, "We will see you on the other side, friends." And he says to James.
And James is like, he's like looking at what you guys are doing. He's like, "Oh, fuck no."
Told you we knew. It's like, you're gonna like having us on your team.
Yep, Dern just strides right through.
I zoom up and go through.
Quill?
Quill is just kind of standing back for a second, and he's like, kind of like pulls Lou out and goes, "I'm not sure what we're supposed to do here, because like it's still very scary." There's kind of a pause, and he's like, "Oh, I suppose yes, we don't want to leave our friends behind, but I'm fine." And he like gets down on all fours and like puts Lou in his mouth and just like books it because he thinks it's gonna close, and he just like jumps through like a deer jumping over a highway.
As you all pass through the gate, there's a moment where now you're standing on the other side, and you can see what it looks like. Because Magnus's hand is on the gate, but there's like a web of energy that's up his one arm, and he has stretched a hand outwards. And he seems to be pulling on something. And you can see that same web of energy up the other side. And it's off in the distance, like it's in towards the center of the mountain. And he goes, "Well, that should be enough then." And he lets go of both at the same time, like he's letting go of like ropes. And on the other side of the gate, you won't be able to see this, but for the audience at home, the gate is like shaking and stops. And it's left in pristine condition. And for a moment, they can see through to the party standing on the other side. before the portal goes and closes. The arcanium stone at the top goes from the purple that it was and powers off, turning a dark slate gray. Magnus was able to repair the gate, but he was not able to keep power to it permanently.
So, Magnus, that
Yes.
energy going through you,
Mm-hmm.
were you perhaps acting as like some sort of arcanium bridge?
Yes, I was connecting to the mountain itself, really.
Are you injured? Do
That-
you need healing?
That can't be good for you.
Oh, it's terribly not, no. But I assure you I'm fine.
We
really
have
appreciate
news.
it.
What news? I
Well,
see the gate on the other side worked.
Yes, and we are taking the villagers of White Summer back to the womb.
Oh, well, that's probably for the best, but unfortunate.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, why
I-
unfortunate?
Well, they're losing their homes.
Yes.
I hoped to have an opportunity to get to know them better, or perhaps I still will.
Well, maybe we should have you at the womb then. Dern smiles.
I
Ye-
still think it will be a while before I am truly welcomed there.
See,
I
my
appreciate
idea
it.
was to have one of them marry the queen.
And he laughs and he goes, I feel she would have thought it funny. That would have been a good outcome, I think.
That's what I thought. Right? Aren't most treaties sealed with marriages and whatnot?
Oh, that's not normally how she works. In fact, I think the last treaty she signed with the man's face. But it was good.
I don't know that that quite counts as a treaty. That
Oh.
sounds more like a declaration of war.
Oh, no, there was no war. There was just a understanding of what should and should not be touched.
That's
Um,
concerning.
Dern also says there's also concern about the fort. Who controls the fort at the edge of the forest?
I'm asking questions I forgot to write down. Give me 2
I
seconds.
apologize.
Nope, that's a perfectly good question.
While you look up for that, were you laughing earlier at my video stream?
Yes, we love it. We love it very much.
Yes, I was. That's what I was laughing at. Was just the quills slowly popping up and getting adjusted in the video camera. That's why I was laughing.
Yeah, I realized like it really looks better than going black, and I keep coughing and feeling like I'm being shot in the chest. So
Oh yeah.
uh, I figured
the
it'd be
idea.
Yeah.
I figured it would be easier just to keep muting than to like panic go for both the mute and the video button as I'm about to like
Hack up a lung.
wince and like. No, I just cough a single time and then it just shuts it down because I feel like I'm being stabbed.
Fair enough.
Sorry, we asked something and I've totally become spaced out.
I asked who controls the fort.
That fort would be under the control of one of the prime mercenary parties, the clan of and he kind of like looks over and you see like you didn't really notice it before, but there's like various of the like mercenary clans and kind of like tucked away just like along the wall. And he looks at them for a minute. He goes, well, that would have been clan Starwolves, is what they call themselves. So they would be in charge. So that would be Lord Kalen, who attends to those affairs.
Oh, Mr. Kalen. It turns out they were killing any of the envoys that were coming back from the village.
That would make sense.
What do you mean that makes sense? You like just didn't know?
Well, I would be unaware, but that does track with what he's been known to do. Do you by chance have proof?
Not yet, other than the words of the villagers, but turns out it might be something worth investigating, and we have a bit of time before we have to meet up with the queen now.
Oh, I suppose it would be quite the interesting conversation. Should we bring him here? Do you remember what the captain's name was?
I think Dern would remember the name. Player Riley doesn't, because Riley has a memory of a goldfish when it comes to names. But I would presume that Dern, with military kind of things, going like, yes, it was Captain So-and-so. We shook hands, and now I feel dirty and must wash my hand.
Thorlak Valison would be the
Thorlak.
guard. And he's like,
Thorlak.
do you want to see a neat magic trick?
Dern kind
Ollie?
of smiles.
He goes, it's incredibly painful. And he reaches a hand out and pulls. And through the gate, it's almost like a veil forms. And the veil gets hard, and it's like something's pulling on it. And there's a
Phrasing.
and Valison stumbles in, and he looks around at the gathering of you and goes, you didn't return.
No. We decided to visit Magnus instead.
I mean,
Oh.
technically, we did return. This is where we were returning to.
Yes. And he brushes himself off, and he's like, that was an experience.
Dern
Lord
grabs
Mage.
his shoulder, like, just massive dragonborn hand, just right on his shoulder.
And he goes, yes, you were the lovely paladin, Dern Rupka. Yes, I remember.
No. There's only one D.
Yes.
Ah.
No.
So, Lord
After
Magnus, would you like to do the honors on him, or shall I?
Magnus kind of looks around and he goes, oh no. I try not to get involved in the affairs of most common folk. And the way he says it, it's clearly an insult. Okay. I need...
What would you like to cast, sir?
Charm person.
Needs to make a wisdom saving throw. Oh,
Yeah.
That's not going to go well for him.
That one?
I am his
So-
bestest friend who ever friended.
So, by the will of the dice, he's like, Foxglove, it's been so long since I've seen. How are you, my friend?
Well, I'm a bit troubled. I
Oh.
can't seem to recall what happens to the envoys after they return from the village.
Well, the envoys. Are you talking about the ones sent off to Whitesummer? Of course, is who you're referring to.
Yeah. Can you help me remember, like, what do you guys do?
I'm not supposed to talk about it. Lord Kalen would be very, very, very mad at me if I discussed even with a close
But
friend.
it would just be between us friends.
Oh well, roll me a persuasion at like advantage. Because it's
20.
oh yeah. Okay, well, and he leans in. He gets like really close, like he assumes he's whispering to just you. He's like, well, you didn't hear it from me. But what Lord Kalen does, he picks people that he's not particularly fond of, people that he doesn't think are going to be, good fits for after they, the queen, and he just kills them. He has to dump them in the river, and then they float out to sea, never to be found again. It's a perfect system.
Dern.
But what does he report? What does he have reported to the queen?
Oh, nothing. That's the thing. Oh, they never
just-
returned. Of course, they never returned. The savages, right?
And
Dern's
none of the
breathing
other
a little harder. No.
none of the other
Heard
lords
him.
are involved
Yeah.
with it.
Well, I mean, we've got a few people that are really close that, of course, we, just between again us good friends, a couple people we've paid off that are 100% like just like they don't tell anyone because when the time comes, we're gonna take the palace, and Lord Kalen, he's gonna make sure we're taken care of.
Dern hands a paper and a quill over to Foxglove and goes, might want to just get some names and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh,
know
yeah.
what I'm gonna do with this if I'm here.
But you'd never let them do
Thank you.
that to us, right?
Oh no, you're friends, right? Like you're super. I won't tell anyone. We let you guys sneak on by, right? That's as far as you tell Lord
Yeah.
Kalen. I go by because you were gonna help us, and we don't have to have this conversation,
No,
right?
because then he's gonna take it out on you. I know it, and I
Oh,
don't
no,
want
no.
you hurt for this. So I think what you should do is you should change sides, and Lord Magnus, right? You know how powerful Lord Magnus is.
Out of curiosity,
Right.
are any of you looking at Magnus?
I'm looking at Magnus.
His pupils have gone black.
Right.
He's visibly shaking.
Oh, he's
You know-
angry.
Yeah.
You know
This
how
is-
powerful he is, right?
this is a coup.
He's the guy you want on your side. Right. So I think what you should do is, stick with your friends, right? And you help us take down Lord
Galen.
Tiddlywinks, whatever his name was, because I can't remember names like from 30 seconds ago.
Kalen.
Kalen.
Galen.
Kalen.
And funnily enough, I actually put it as a character trait because
Oh.
personally I can't remember them from like 30 seconds ago.
He's like, well, if we switch sides, when it all goes down, like, he'll just kill us. That's
No,
much is
'cause
apparent.
Because you're not going to be there, right?
Oh,
And
that's a good
Lord
point.
Magnus is going to take care of him.
I think Dern turns his head to Magnus now and kind of is like, oh no. He lets go of the guy and steps back.
Right.
Magnus also takes a step back.
I think if you turn state's witness, right, and write it all down, then you'll go into witness protection, and we could probably find you a spot in the womb. It's pretty cushy there.
Dern says to Agnes, if he's about to live in the next 10 seconds.
Yeah, Quill kind of like speaks up and after you say that and go, yeah, sure, I'm sure. Yeah, isn't this guy like guilty of like killing a bunch of people?
Yes, he is.
So why are we going to give him a new place to live? That's not like underground.
Magnus goes, Quill, I knew I liked you. And you watch him pull a bird cage out and go, I've got a perfect, safe place for you.
See, there you go. He's gonna keep you safe for the rest of your years.
Quill kind of like slinks back, like, oh no.
He's gonna be a little songbird.
Right.
I don't know if that's going to show to you guys. I don't think it does. Oh. Do you know, really quickly, can I make a spell show to everyone?
There is a
spell.
way
What?
how to do that. I don't know how.
I just don't know if there's a show to players
On a
option.
spell, I don't know. Only if it's on a character sheet, says Ramshackle.
Great bonfire. I'm a bonfire. Sorry.
So I'm
Hit the bubble on the character sheet.
so I'm doing that, and it's
Bubble.
just showing it to just me.
You would have to like change like it from a whisper kind of thing like that.
Yeah,
You can
'cause-
go. Go to as.
No, on the bottom
And-
that just changes your name.
Oh yeah,
So
you're right.
the what's happening is that his character sheet is set up to whisper just to GM in the settings. So if
Ah.
you change that to be player, then we would see all their roles and all the stuff that you're clicking that currently only
Got
whispers
it.
to GM.
Is that attributes and abilities?
No, it's in the actual settings cog of the character setup.
But change your cog to not whisper, and it will share.
Oops.
Settings cog.
Oh, come on, roll 20. To not share?
Yeah.
To not whisper, and it'll share.
Is that dice options or?
Message options.
I apologize. I don't.
That's okay. I'm just trying to figure it out really quickly.
okay. So
Or
if
you can
you-
just describe the spell to us.
Yeah, I was hoping for the dramatic reveal, but we've totally thrown that off. Magnus casts Finger of Death. He like holds the bird cage up, and you watch him like with one hand make a couple like sigils in the air. And from his pouch, you watch a couple things float out, and I accidentally had to restart the page. So let me walk you through how this looks for you guys first. So the first thing he does is he holds up, you notice it's a very ornate silver cage that he holds up. And as you're kind of like talking to him, he's been like moving his hands around. And it's just as like you guys were kind of getting to the point and he was starting to like feel like something might be off, Magnus just pointed at him. And you watch a bolt of like dark black necrotic energy shoot out from his hand. And there is
Nothing.
there's no way this poor guard captain survives it no matter what. So yeah, he takes the bolt in the chest and he's like, "Oh, well that's, huh? Oh,
Well, that can't feel good.
And you just watch like all the color drain from him, and as he starts to fall back, you see the golden like kind of like light tendrils of like his soul starting to pull away, and a little white flame comes up inside the cage, and he holds it and he's like, "That'll do."
Dern is completely aware that this is not magic he's comfortable with, but he's like, I'm not going to say anything.
Oh. I just watched James solve it for me. So next time, if I try and be dramatic with moments like that.
Soul cage.
Mm-hmm.
It snatches the cage. Oh, so it can talk.
Yep.
Yup. Okay. Yeah, that's scary as shit.
So I'm guessing that's sufficient evidence for you.
Oh, quite.
Well,
I am glad you're pleased.
I'm glad we didn't have to go to the fort. Shall we go off to the palace then?
He goes, "I think we should." And you watch him like pull a pen. Like he puts the cage down carefully, pulls a pen, and writes a note down on like a piece of paper that's like on a little pedestal. He writes it, rolls it up neatly, waves his hand, and it disappears. He goes, "The court will be waiting for us."
I feel
this
like
should be fun.
I'm like fangirling. I'm like, Agnes is starry-eyed. It's like, which is hilarious given the kind of druid she is.
Mhm.
Yes. I also like the fact that sometimes D&D doesn't end up in combat, but it just the things players do.
Oh, I'm freaking terrified of this guy. I love him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Quill is just kind of like, he made the comment and then he sees this happen. He's just like, instantly closes his mouth so that doesn't say something like that gets him next.
Yup.
Yeah. So Magnus leads you down to the dock, and he like just very daintily holding this cage. And you see, as you're kind of being led down through, you see like members of the court like coming out of those like mansions you saw the last time you were coming through here.
Yep.
Like trudging along, and they're like, they run past and they look at Magnus holding the bird cage, and there's a few of them that you can see them like noticeably be like, oh no.
Question: do we run into the orc?
No, you don't.
I have a question, just because I'm reading it. I'm just trying. What happens to the body? Is the body just slumped on the ground? In
Yeah,
his
Magnus just
study?
left it there.
Oh, I love this guy. Okay.
I'm
Like,
gonna
he made a
throw-
dramatic effort of like stepping over the body, even though he clearly could have just gone around.
I'm going to, as we leave, because I was kind of near the back near him. I'm gonna quickly check some pockets.
You find on him a medallion that features the symbol of a wolf with its eyes replaced by stars.
Medallion, eyes of wolf, with what?
With its eyes replaced by stars. And you find a necklace that's bound in, like, it's a leather necklace that's got two pieces hanging off the bottom of it. One piece is a chunk of wood, and then strapped to that is a couple of, it's like a shard of like animal bone that's hanging off of it, and it's got like little bits like kind of carved and nicked into it.
We've seen something like that before, though I can't remember what it was. Was it the key that Magnus used? Was a piece of wood with something dangling below it?
Magnus had something very similar to this.
Okay. I was thinking, like, I know we've seen something kind of like
Oh,
that.
Star Wolf. Oh my god, I just fucking got it. God damn it.
Wait, what? What do you mean? I don't get it. What am I
It's the
missing?
mercenary group. It's called Star Wolf. They have a wolf that has stars in the eyes. Can't let you do that, Star Fox. Come on.
Would you believe that's actually purely coincidence?
I like this after shortly after saying that I'm starry-eyed.
Mhm. You also find like 4 gold in his pockets, like just on him.
That's a lot of gold for a guard captain.
He's a mercenary.
Sorry, how much
A
gold did
low
you
amount
say?
of gold for
4.
him.
4 gold
Oh, that's not a lot.
No, but for a guard captain?
to just
Yeah.
have on him.
For a corrupt guard captain?
I
Not a
mean,
lot for a corrupt.
I'm a cat with 82.
So they don't give you anything to spend it on. Yeah, Magnus leads you through, and like the people are rushing past him, like, and you can see them like go down the thing and like get on their ships, and their ships like start to make way. And these are like way too big of ships for the short trip they're going to take. Like they're very opulent and ridged. As you get towards the bottom, Magnus's boat is waiting for you guys. So clearly it had returned in the time you guys are going. And as you're walking, they're like the crew's looking, and they look at him and they're like, "Oh, we heard. Oh, okay, okay." And like, there's like an entirely different energy that goes on about it, because this is like Magnus doesn't have that like kind of dreamy face that you've come to customize. Like the like I'm not here. This is like the most like in the moment you've ever seen him. And he just like, as he gets to the bottom of the dock, before you watched him like take his time stepping into the ship, now he just like confidently steps across the bit, taps the man that's like standing at the back to call commands, and steps up there himself and begins calling the like row commands to like push the ship out to sea. He's like, and it's like expert seamanship. Like he's got the like all of the riggings down packed. He's calling the like the timings. And it's like it's a man who knows what he's doing as he's calling out these commands. And he sits and he goes, "Well, it'll take us a little while to get there, so if you don't mind, I'm going to take a nap."
Oh, Captain, my Captain!
and like the crew, like they take over really quickly, and this is like a set of determination. And there's actually a guy at the front that starts like leading the crew in song as they're sailing, and but it's like it's common-ish.
Can you
It's-
sing us an example?
I will absolutely not.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest here, David. For both our immersion and anyone watching, it would be really handy if we could have an example of what's going on in this scene.
I assure you, any amount of singing I would do would only remove you from the immersion. I do not have vocal cords for song. But
Agnes-
Well, it's not a song. It's you're just going a cappella here for like a nice little. Oh,
Nope,
way
it's-
down south where the cocks do crow.
nope, not happening.
Agnes is going to take out her kalimba, and which she hasn't played in quite a while, and she's going to, after a few off tones, is just going to be like bong 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 bong.
But yeah, it's in common, but it's not in common.
Yep.
And Magnus like just like leans against the back of the ship, and he's out.
All right.
You have a short period of time. You've got probably about 4 hours till you make. Are you gonna sing along?
I'm gonna try and play the pan flute, which is the instrument that I have, and yeah, it doesn't go well.
They like let you go along with it, but there's kind of like this air of like, please stop. Like, we see what you're doing, but kindly stop.
I kind of just start trailing off, and it's like, ooh.
I want everyone to know that for the sake of this party, I actively did not choose a musical instrument. I just want you to know that. Because if I kept one on me, it would have been a bad time. So you're welcome.
Thank you.
Because if
I
it
don't-
was going to be a little mini, like, tiny bass, and I was just going to play Stray Cats all the time. Stray Cat strut constantly.
I don't know. I figured you'd be more of a cool cat who would play like the bongos.
Never.
All I can hear is that stupid song "Cool for Cats" now.
I don't know what that song is.
You're not missing anything.
I
I
think
don't think so.
I think Dern is feeling very determined at this point and has forgotten about his sea legs. So he doesn't feel pukey because he's amazed at like the organization of this ship and things like that. He's never been a seafarer, obviously, but and the ways of sailing are completely lost to him. But I can presume that this ship is overtaking the other ships that have already left.
It's keeping pace, so he's not overtaking, but he's definitely like it. Like the ship isn't falling behind by any means. This is very much a like expertly crewed, like scenario. Yeah, like these are people that like know what they're doing as they're sailing along.
Okay.
You have like the crew, like they're at this point with the sails up and everything, like they're keeping time and they're like keeping busy, but they're not like they're kind of like eyeing you. It's it's you know, one of those like they're looking at you and they can tell something's like stressing everyone else out. So like there's like genuine thought and concern happening here.
I'm going to go to like a crewman who's not specifically super busy at this moment.
Yeah.
Like a guy who's like, you know, lookout or something, or like somebody who's like in charge but doesn't have anything to do at the moment.
Okay. Yeah.
Is there kind of a person like that?
There's a few people that are like actively watching things as it's like taking place, but they don't seem to like have any like specific roles they need to do at this time.
Okay. I think Dern's going to approach one of them.
Okay.
And basically just start asking some questions. He's a cool cat. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I think Dern goes up to one of these guys and starts just kind of asking questions like, this does not happen often, I take it.
Oh gosh, no. Lord Magnus will sometimes call court, but this is he's never so. And they kind of like look at him and the cage that he's holding, and they're like, brazen would probably be a fair word for that.
Dern nods and goes, yes, it was rather shocking. I was not prepared for it myself.
Yeah, that's fair.
But Dern nods and just says, thank you. This will be a meeting, I think, to end all meetings.
Not to be ominous at all.
I mean, yeah, probably if Lord Magnus is in that much of a workup, like, I would not want to be the person he's currently mad at. And he leans over and he's like, so, who is it?
You will know probably very quickly.
Okay, but like, are we like, which one is it? Like, who finally pushed him over the edge?
Dern kind of looks around. Can I just do a quick insight on this guy, just to make? Oh yeah, because I know that Magnus wouldn't put people he doesn't trust, but
yeah, no, it's fair.
That's that way. Nat 20.
Like, that gives you an insight to the crew. The crew is loyal to Magnus.
Okay, then that's all I needed to know.
Like they're helm first. So like as a collective, there's a belief that you should be loyal to the people as a whole. But like you can tell these people are very like Magnus is our person.
Okay, and then he looks to him and goes, Lord Kalen.
And the guy like leans back and lets out a low whistle. He reaches over, he smacks, he goes, "You will never guess, Urn. Lord Kalen finally did something stupid enough to piss Magnus off." I know, because the guy's like, "Oh God, no." It's like very much like this like breakout of people being like, and there's kind of this murmur through the crew, and they're looking over at him, and they're like, "Do you no, he's gonna be more dramatic than that."
Agnes would like to say in Sylvan to her husband, Dern's over here giving away state secrets.
I mean, we know them, and we're not members of this state. Yeah, I would be really careful with the mood that he's in right now, though. He just like tore a guy's soul out and put it in a cage, so not in a good mood.
Oh yeah, no. We've seen this before. The last person to do this was an assassin. From what I understand, he tortured the guy for 6 days straight first.
Dern's eyes just kind of go, are we helping the good guy?
Yeah,
Well,
Quill has
he was
like
in
the
a pretty good
same
mood
thought
today.
process.
Yeah.
Seems
Are
like
we
he's in a
doing the right thing?
Yeah.
I think we are. We're
Oh,
saving
no. The guy tried to kill the queen. Like there was a pretty straightforward like line of progression there.
Okay, that's fair.
Dern's like, Gray. Just starts like walking away.
I would like to mention
Well-
that you are a silver dragon.
Dern just like kind of just like,
That's like gray. Your whole
So-
life's gray.
It's gray but shiny.
you're not wrong, both of you. Dern's just like,
Yeah, but think about it like this. I think he sees the queen as family.
yes.
Right? What would you do if someone threatened your family?
I think I know what I would do. And Dern just kind of looks out to the sea.
Well, what's that?
Anything and everything.
Dern just smiles and goes, well, thankfully, It's something that you'll never have to see, I
That would be nice, yes.
hope. Dern lets
Hey.
out a bit of a laugh and goes, I think it's time we get this solved.
Right? Think about it this way, Quill. What would happen if like, what would you do if someone wanted to hurt Lou?
Well, to be honest, and this might seem out of character for me, but I'd probably take out my claws and rip the throat out and then make them drink their own blood. But
Well,
that's just like...
see, look at it this way, right? Magnus is like you, and the Queen is like Lou.
I kind of take offense to that.
Well, just in the fact that they're family, right? Like
Yes.
you and Lou are family,
Yes.
and someone wants to hurt the Queen, so Magnus acts like you would if someone wanted to hurt Lou.
I suppose. I mean, okay, that makes sense, yeah. Like, I don't like to be like violent to anybody, and this is like, and I kind of like saying this loud for any of the sailors to hear. But like, if anyone like actually messed with Lou, like purposefully messed with Lou, to be honest, I would do anything in my power to make sure that they lost everything. Like I'm not one to be violent typically. The corpse toboggan thing being a complete accident for how it worked out. But like,
What's a corpse toboggan?
it's a long story. I don't want to get into it. It's awkward. But like, I mean, I saw Magnus do something pretty crazy. But if I'm being honest with you, there's a possibility that like, I'd probably do something worse.
Yeah, so that just because it scared you doesn't make him a bad man. It all
know.
goes into, a lot of it goes into why he did.
Yeah. Basically, what I'm saying is I don't want to have to hurt anybody. So like, it'd be nice if no one made me hurt them.
And I think Magnus is the same way.
I think he's very much the same way. And again, it's the grey aspect of it all.
What's that mean?
Morals. It's grey. The world is not black and white. There are colors and feelings that get mixed in between. I'm trying to figure out the way how to make that. God damn it.
Now,
What were you saying?
now are
What's this
those?
about the world being black and white? Because like, I see some color, and I don't really.
Yeah.
The world's not really black and white for me.
No, that's fair, but Dern. I've lost it. I'm sorry.
No, I
it's
heard.
like
I
this.
heard there's approximate. I heard that in all the world there's approximately 50 different shades of gray.
Well, actually, I've heard that saying before too, but I heard that there's like 50 shades more than that on top of that.
Oh.
Are you saying
But
that
they're a
there's
bit
50
darker.
shades darker?
Well, it depends on the direction on the spectrum you go. Because like, I once looked at like a coloring book with like a bunch of colors on it, and like red has like brighter red, darker red. So technically, there could be 50 shades dark of anything.
It depends on your crayon pack.
What's a crayon?
You've never had crayons?
It's
No, you could
this,
just like-
and I pull out one wax crayon. It's about half used, and it
what
is
do you-
in like a burnt sienna color, and I show
What
it
do
to
you do with that?
color,
Oh, is it like a pencil?
kind of
What's it do?
color.
Well, yes, but like, does it like? Because like when I've used pencils, they always like leave behind like the grey stuff, the stuff that like gets your hand all dirty.
Oh, it does this, and I go to the edge of the wood on the ship, and I draw a big old smiley face on the ship.
There's a few like crew members who like watch this happen, and you can see them visibly like,
It washes right out. Don't worry about it. It just adds some color. See, it leaves this. It's like that.
That's
It's really
fantastic. 'cause,
fun.
like anytime I've wanted to like color in like colors, I would like take berries and like paints and stuff. But I didn't realize there was like sticks of paint.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know. They say it's made of wax, so I don't know. Maybe you could make them out of candles. We should try it out at the Grove sometime. We
I
should try
love
to
that
make-
we're. Sorry, I just love the fact that we're going to this like very serious meeting, and we ended up just drawing a smiley face on the ship. We're talking
It's
about
very-
crayons,
It's very hard for Quill to be serious with this stuff. He doesn't understand quite what's going on.
and then that's very fair. But I just love the conversation and where it's going.
At your note of this, I go, I would love to make crayons back when we get home. That'd be fantastic.
That sounds wonderful. I can't wait. I wonder if they're going to have snacks at the castle. I'm a little pecked.
We'll probably ask about
Right.
that after we you know
If you ask
Yeah.
post
end the coup.
but if you ask post coup about the snacks, then they're all going to be focused on the coup instead of the food.
Well-
What's your coup?
Dern kind of just mutters to himself, "Yeah, who's saying state secrets now?"
I'm gonna pull out.
There's like
I'm
crew
gonna-
members being like, say more.
I'm gonna pull
oh my
out
god,
some.
they're all gossips.
I'm gonna pull out some lizard jerky. And be like, I got some jerky if you want a snack.
Oh, thanks. Then I eat some lizard jerky. I actually do enjoy it. It's good. It's good.
I was gonna say it probably just tastes like regular jerky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like I
Well, it
left the
depends on-
skin
on-
on.
Is it like teriyaki lizard jerky?
It is flavored with probably at the time, I don't know, catnip or salt.
So
So
it's like
tastes
salty
like
coriander to
Yeah.
me.
Sure. I like to think of it more as like a rosemary thyme roasted potato flavor.
And
Honestly,
technically,
that's in-
catnip is in the mint family, so.
I mean-
Not mine. Mine was very specifically different because I'm allergic to mint in real life. So oh yeah, if you put like raw mint leaves on my hands, you might as well put a lighter to my skin.
Noted. Noted.
Yes. But anyways,
I don't- Preserves. I'm gonna
excited.
eat it. I'm gonna eat it.
Yeah, Quill's excited at the thought of making crayons, and he's still not entirely sure what's happening with this whole boat thing and where we're going, because he was more so just enthralled by this like crazy shit that went down with the whole birdcage thing. But he's just
Which
kind
is
of following
cool.
along because like he knows that Magnus likes him to annoy the court, and he doesn't want to upset Magnus, so he's coming along to annoy the court again.
So, as you pull into port, it's as if Magnus had never been asleep. He just kind of casually stands up, brushes himself off, and goes, "Oh, nice and quick." And like the ship pulls in, and like it hasn't even stopped, and he gets up on the side and onto the dock.
Dern quickly follows, like, just basically just jumps off the ship towards the dock.
Right
Okay.
in with him.
Yep.
I assume Quill's pretty quick on this too. I hope you're not
Oh.
dying. Okay, so
I
you guys
follow.
follow along. And it's a paced walk through town. Magnus is leading the way again, holding this bird cage as though it was like an actual canary that might be held in it, but it's like a soul. And he's walking along, and there's now guards in the streets, and they're kind of keeping people away from the path. So the big yachts had pulled in ahead of you, but now those people are behind you. With the efficiency with which the
Ah.
crew sailed in, they're behind and rushing to catch up. And it's like as he gets close to the doors, they're already open, leading him into the fortress. He leads you right up the stairs as if nothing in the world is like kind of like in between him and anything. Leads you guys up, you get all the way to the top floor, and as he gets close to the stairs, he just pushes out with his hand and the doors fly open.
Okay, there was no bearers there or anything like that. It's
Oh no,
just...
they were reaching for the door. Magnus did not let them.
This guy is so cool. Oh
Um,
my gosh.
So yeah, doors open. He walks in, and like sweatily, and from the door you didn't see, like from off to the side, like there's like lords and ladies rushing in, and they're like taking seats like really carefully. And then they kind of like all seat themselves, like yes. Okay, what's Lord Magnus, you've summoned us here so abrashedly. This better be important. And it's like there's like a huff, and like everyone's confused. The door opens, in enters the queen, and she goes, "Yes, Lord Magnus, I was quite enthralled by your message. You said you had proof of," and she looks over at the table. She goes, "Some issues at court." And you notice this time she doesn't unclip her sword. She keeps it with her as she approaches, and she doesn't sit. And she's like, "Shall we talk about those?"
I think Dern doesn't sit either. I think he stands close to Magnus and
So this
readies
time
himself. Oh,
there's no table present for you. It's just like
okay.
the opening where the table had been before.
Mm.
There's no table placed down. It's not like they didn't want to. It's they didn't have time.
Got it.
So, how many doors are there?
So there's a main door out the back, and then from in on the from you guys facing from that back door to the front, there is a door to your right.
Okay, so
Can I?
three sets of doors.
So there's the big door behind you, and then there's one other door to the right that all the lords and ladies entered through.
Okay, so I kind of just make like hand gestures and like, someone guard this door. I'm gonna go to the other door.
I think Dern is going to stand near Magnus, but ready in action to cast Shield of Faith on either Magnus or the Queen.
Okay.
I'm gonna stay near the big doors we entered through.
So
Okay.
I'm gonna be at the other door, and I'm gonna have Eldritch Blast at the ready. Just kind of holding Eldritch energy in my hand, and
Probably like a little bit more subtly instead of like, yes!
well,
How subtle is Foxglove?
And so
yeah,
it's kind of
I'm not holding it. I'm preparing it, but I'm not actually holding the energy. So.
Yeah.
So Magnus walks towards the front, in front of the queen, places down the birdcage, and returns to Dern and Quill. I'm assuming you're standing next to Dern.
That would make sense.
Yes.
So yeah, he's standing there, and he goes, ladies and gentlemen of the court, it's such a pleasure to have to address you." And he points to the cage and goes, "I have here evidence of an attempted coup by Lord Kalen. And if I was to suspect, his 4 closest allies on that side of the table."
Well, he did tell us the other.
Names. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, Dern's like, wow, this is direct. Okay.
Magnus has no subtlety. He's lived too long to be subtle.
Yeah.
I think it's why
Um,
Foxglove and him would secretly get along if they had a little bit more time to sit down and talk. They've just lived too long to be patient for people with such short lives.
What is like the immediate reaction?
There's like a murmur. So on the orc side of the table, there's kind of a lean back, and you can tell it's more of a like, yeah, I thought as much kind of sensation. Like a, yeah, I would have guessed, I would have assumed. And like the orc that you had talked to before, or that had talked to you before, is like, so proof's one thing, it's important, but you have to bring him in so, cold.
Dern.
I mean,
Oh, go ahead, Quill.
is he a bird?
It's a soul trapped in a bird cage.
Oh, I mean,
It's
he's
like a-
kind of just like a bird. Wait, the show aren't shows like warm? Why is he cold? I'm confused.
Well, you know, like cold like a body, right?
No, and I
Uh,
kind of like show my hand and I go, I got this fancy ring that always makes me warm, so I'm not too sure with the cold.
Dern addresses the orc's statement and goes, "This man has murdered many people who were emissaries to the town of Summer, or White Summer?
Mhm.
Yeah, of White Summer. His hands were, as you would say, dirty.
Okay. Okay. So I got a question first. And like Lord Inerson, I apologize ahead. And he kind of like bows to the other, like Magnus bows, and he's like, well, so you said he murdered the emissaries, right? We know he didn't come back alive. You're gonna have to explain that one to me, because I was under the impression they weren't coming back at all.
Wait, what?
Yeah, none of the emissaries ever made it back to our borders.
They made it back to the fort, and then they were murdered there at the
Yeah,
request
that's-
of Lord Kettlebottom.
That's what we're saying.
Okay.
Quill, do you have the amulet of that gentleman who is in the cage at the current moment?
Oh, yeah. And I reach in my bag and I pull out my my little amulet with the wolf eyes on and go, there's this like thing I found on him that like he looks like a wolf and he's got stars for eyes. Here you go.
Immediately, Lord, like as you like pass it to the orc, Lord Kalen's like, that could be a fake.
Why are you getting so defensive?
That is my clan you are defacing there, and like he's like bristling.
So
Look, it's not
perhaps
my fault.
you'd be willing for us to perhaps bring in a cleric and continue these proceedings under a zone of truth?
Oh, if you could find one who would dare believe the word of these unkindled,
Unkindled?
rekindled, whatever they call you.
Well, no, they don't call me that. Well, people have been calling me that, but I'm not, which is kind of funny.
Can I insight on that?
Mm-hmm. That was it was a legitimate slip of tongue.
Okay.
Quill is this guy's getting real defensive.
Yep. For context, this would be the same as if I walked in and went, your mother is an absolute murdering bitch, and she kills people, and she's awful, and all of your family as a result are evil. Is kind of like the cultural norm you've brought in with that.
Can I? Oh, go ahead, Quill.
I'm like, so hold on. So this isn't like the emblem of some like scary like murdering gang?
And there's kind of like a moment of confusion, and I like Magnus is like, no, that's a clan emblem. Most mercenary clans use their clan emblem. I probably should have explained this to you before we came here.
What about this one?
Well-
And I pull out the one with like leather and bone.
This is unsettling. Like all of the humans visibly like push back from their chairs.
I see this and I kind of go and I step forward with it a little bit.
Oh, such a jerk move.
The queen extends her hand and goes, "May I?"
I go, okay, I suppose.
And as she looks at it, she kind of glances at it very carefully, and it's very Ginger, the way she's holding this, and she's kind of maneuvering it. And she very carefully puts it down next to the soul. There's an almost reverence for how she's handling it. Even assuming he's as evil as he is, like, there's an almost like a care that's given to it. And she puts it down, And she looks over to Lord Kalen and she goes, "So, would you, as the leader of the clan, verify whose totem this is?" And he very like shakily stands. He's like unnerved by this situation, and he like every step is slow and cautious, and he gets to the end of it and he goes, "That would be Captain Valison's." And he kind of like extends both hands like very like open palm towards her. They're clasped like this. So it's one hand under the other and held out towards it, like he's expecting her to hand it to him. At this, everyone is watching. And she grabs it and slides it to the other side of the table, away from him. And she sits there and goes, "I see. My father thought very highly of all of these proceedings, that our ancestors had guided us to this moment, knowing full well that a monarch should never rule alone. Lord Einerson insisted that a monarch must rule alone, and for centuries my family has disregarded his advice, that eventually something like this would happen. I thought so much more of you, Lord Kalen. When my father died, I thought of you as though you were part of my own." And like he's like beat red in the face, and like the rest of the humans are like watching this entire encounter, and there's gritted teeth. Even Magnus seems a little unsettled.
Oh, by
Like
the
he's,
gesture the queen did.
yeah, it's very clear that whatever she's just done, it's a grievous insult.
Ah.
It is the kind of insult that like cannot be forgotten.
Hmm.
Quill picking up on her, like saying these things, he kind of goes, "Yeah."
Dern kind of like puts his hand on Quill and goes, "I think this is where we do not say anything." He says it in a hushed tone to Quill. And just kind of just goes and prepares for the worst, basically.
She sighs and she goes, "Well," and she looks to the orcs that are present. She goes, "As always, it has been a pleasure receiving your counsel. For this next part, you may be excused." And there's kind of like a chuckle that passes through them, and they stand up, and it's like, okay. And there's kind of like some like, okay, we'll go. And they just like, as they're like going past G Fox, they're looking and they're like, "So like, you should see how many, and when they're done, let us know. Like, I want to know what the odds were." Okay?
I think it's best if you just leave.
"Oh no, we're gone. It's been centuries since something like this happened, and we still talk about it. Good luck."
Oh no.
And the queen in her chair, she finally sits down, and like in her chair, she like does the like leaned on it, leg up, crosses her arms, and she's like, "So, there's two ways we can handle this. One way, I simply cast you out, strip you of title, and you and your clan may forever live in exile. I believe You recently cleared out a perfectly good ally of the people that lived there. And she leans back. She goes, I think that would be a fitting place for you. And I hope whatever lives in the forests gets you before we do. Or we can settle this here and now.
Dun dun dun.
And he stands up, and there's kind of like a pacing energy to him. And now there's only the humans left. Now, at the very end of the collection of humans is the more Japanese dressed one, and he kind of stands up and he goes, I would enjoy greatly some clarification on what's happening right now. What was planned and what was said. And it's clear that he doesn't quite understand the situation. and that
It
there's a-
sounds like he's like the newest one to the
Yes.
table.
So, he is the representative of the city of Tayo,
Oh,
which
yes.
is the
yes,
newest
yes.
addition to the kingdom.
Right. I guess Dern will. Or is this our place to speak? I should
Yes,
ask.
this would be
It
this
is?
would very much be like there's like eyes being drawn at each other, and like a general sense of like
Do I notice any weapons being drawn?
not yet. Like the queen has not put her sword down, but there's none of the other people have drawn weapons yet.
Dern will step forward and will state there has been a very interesting turn of events involving the city of White Summer. And Dern will explain the journey to White Summer. He will explain the weird happenstances of the forest and the things that we've noticed. And the explanations of the citizens of White Summer, and that there are only 36 members of this town. They are currently packing up, and they're going to meet us at the gates before when we travel back to the womb, coming with us. And that they sent back all the emissaries that came to the town, and they had traveled through the fort that Lord Caleb, his mercenaries occupied, and that the men and women of those groups were murdered, thrown into the river, and cast out to sea. We repaired the gate and traveled back through to Magnus's keep, where the soul that you see in front of you is, or was, the information was gathered from him, and Magnus did this, and the meeting was called, and we are now here.
And the representative kind of nods along, and he's looking at everyone, and he goes, well, Your Majesty, as my father used to say, not my circus, not my monkeys. And I had nothing to do with this one. So may I be dismissed?
We found nothing in our travels regarding him or his clan.
And she kind of looks and she goes, so where does the city of Tayo sit on their relationship with the kingdom? And he's like, quite well, if I'm honest with you, Your Majesty. There are some concerns over the way some people regard rekindled, all things considered. And I would appreciate to just be left out of. Well, I do distinctly remember hearing stories about your grandfather not liking people in his court, having opinions adverse to the crown. So I would love to leave. She looks over to you, Foxglove, and goes, "In your opinion, does he seem truthful?"
I think so.
Oh yeah, he's 100% like, I want nothing to do with this. He's
Yeah,
like,
this-
truthful
this-
and scared shitless.
She goes, "Well then, I believe the saying was sumimasen as an apology, and you may leave." And he's like, "Okay,"
And
and he peaces out.
there's a cloud of smoke and there's skid marks across the
Well, he
ground.
kind of like
and-
scoots around the edge of the table, like as far from the queen as possible, till he gets to the door, and he looks at you and he's like, "Arigato," and just like gone.
So, your magicfulness. Might I make a suggestion?
Oh, but of course.
So these for conspirators? Yeah, let's call them conspirators. I'd recommend execution for them, and
Oh
for
my
their
gosh.
clans to be dismembered. Not like physically dismembered, but disbanded. And absorbed into the other clans.
He kind of looks at the soul, and he looks around. He's like, "Well, that's quite the merciful outlook on things."
Well, I mean, if the clan we're not involved with this, right? They should not share the shame, right? I mean, they will certainly be some lingering remnants from them having to move into another clan, but I don't think that they should suffer exile or execution unless they were involved themselves.
He nods, goes, "That's a very kind, fitting. Definitely not how we would have done it back in Johan's days, but a good suggestion, if I do say so. Times have progressed, haven't they?" And he
They
looks,
tend to.
and he looks to the cackle to the group, and Kalen is like beat red, and he's like violently shaking. And the three next to him in order, the first one has like steeled himself and is looking and is kind of like, it's like it's almost like a dress of his like nails, like, well, we should just get this on over with. The woman next to him, she is in tears. She's like borderline hysterical, but you see her like mentally attempting to collect
Taylor's-
herself. And the guy at the end is almost like passive. And so the queen turns to look at Kaylin and goes, "You have an opportunity. You can end this with minimal bloodshed, wrap this up, and make it clean. It's that simple. We absorb your assets, we absorb your materials, we send you on your way. Nobody has to be harmed but the four of you and your closest co-conspirators, who I imagine are standing outside that door." And she like turns her head up. She goes, or we can turn this into a bloodbath.
At that,
I'm gonna-
I fly just above the door, and now you can see me charging up.
I'm gonna have somebody else roll me a persuasion.
Oh, persuasion.
I don't have any bonuses.
We'll take a persuasion without the bonus roll. So,
Okay, well that's me then.
Oh.
Make it a 15.
okay.
Please tell me you rolled a 15, David. Okay.
Kaylin looks around and goes, I would sooner see my whole clan burn to the ground than suffer that dishonor.
Well, shit.
We have a choice, players and viewers. We can end early tonight on that cliffhanger, or we can go longer. Players, what do you feel?
Okay, cat. Please don't push my monitor. Thank you. Cat. Please.
As much as I hate to say it, and hate cliffhangers,
Mhm.
I would say
This-
leave the combat for next
I-
time.
Yeah.
I don't want to rush it.
No.
Yeah, because we'll end up rushing, and it could be like another 2 hours, and everyone's gonna be just like dying.
Yeah. I think at those words,
Also, yes, I am dying.
all
But like, look at this. Lou even has his dagger ready.
I know it's
Right?
great. I like to say in that after those words, before anything else, all you hear is like the clicking of Dern's shield and the hammer dropping to the ground with a loud thud.
And with that, for the first time since we've started this stream, we will end early. So we're
I
gonna
mean-
find
13 minutes.
Yeah, not that early, but a little early. We're gonna find somebody to raid out to. We
Yep.
will find someone to send some love.
This is so much fun. This has been awesome tonight. Thank you,
Yeah.
David.
That was a lot of fun, David.
I look forward to killing people.
I like the fact that we have played this campaign and we have been playing this and we have avoided all but one combat so far.
It's because we're not
And-
murder hobos.
We're not murder hobos, which
Any
I
other character I've
enjoy.
played was not a murder hobo, but they were always ready to
Someone
be like, all right,
on
fuck
a
the shit,
on
let's
a
do
boat when I was coming here.
Oh, that
and,
was really good.
They
Hold on.
said
Really
they
big fan
worked
of
for
the
a
addition of
circus.
someone who's
They didn't
like-
give us
who's
the
just
name
like,
of the circus, but like I
not even
figure
kick-
it's
really,
probably
they've-
just you
they've
guys.
slighted
And
us, we can
I
just
know you
kill
have a
them.
lot of employees, but you seem
Go
like you have a good
Foxglove,
memory.
go
Did you
Foxglove.
ever know a
Yeah.
Macaulay?
No.
We're gonna be
Okay.
sending
Inside
love
check.
out to
Go
I'm
all
also
of
gonna
D&D.
inside check.
They're in
Ivory,
the middle
you're
of a
also
session. It
welcome to
looks like.
inside check.
so
Natural
we'll
20.
send
Damn.
the love over to them.
Ivory and Nomos.
Natural 1.
Tell them
Nomos, you don't know
we said
shit.
hi, and we will see you all
I forget who
next
Macaulay
Sunday.
Die.
Bye-bye.
I sort of fidget with my hand while we talk.
Hello, Raiders. Welcome.
Oh,
Hi, Raiders.
Thank you so
Hello,
much.
Good to see you all.
welcome.
Welcome to an
Hey,
interrogation.
Hello.
Damn,
Ahoy!
Hi,
it's an interrogation, but we're all being so polite about it.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
waiting on that because I'm waiting for the point where I'm like, that's a great origin story. When did you deal with the god weapon? And
It's like he's trying to like get actual information. Yeah, with
Either
a
way.
natural fucking 20.
Natural 20. What did Ivory get on Insight?
I got it 17.
17. All right. So Nomos with a natural 1, you don't know